keep exposing globalism, and people around the world have been becoming aware of it, thanks to your work and my work and many others. But they are striking back now with pure authoritarianism. And they've got mainstream media all across the planet going along with it. But looking through the stack of news today, a theme emerged without, again, myself or the crew trying to impose a theme. We go with not the mainstream media themes that they force feed, and not with some agenda we've got other than promoting truth and justice, but with what emerges. And a lot of time from little local news stories from England and the United States and Canada and South Africa and Australia. Today, in just one stack I went through of governments and media institutions banning the word Jesus and banning advertising Easter. Now, you think about that. A few weeks ago, Apple's iCalendar mysteriously deleted Easter. Well, when they got asked about it, the next article to pull up is, Apple admits they deleted it and have no comment. That is a total war on culture and an example of the complete censorship. But here's another example before I get into the whole stack here. Principal removes student, there's video, carrying signs saying guns don't kill people, people kill people. And I've confirmed with a lot of our sources and seen the stories online that, well, principals that don't go along with the walkouts are being fired or removed. Students that try to hold up other signs that are pro-Second Amendment, they're being told that they can't. So they're ordering the students to go out. They're basically staging it. We're going to play the video coming up. We're showing it right now, but for radio listeners, I'll play it, the audio. And they're saying, no, you will go march and you will be anti-gun. The colleges are authoritarian brainwashing centers. And now they're creating cadres of people for the last 30, 40 years who now will people the government and the other learning systems and the police departments to end free speech. It's here. This is all planned. It's all being rolled out. It's all authoritarian. Principal removes students carrying signs saying guns don't kill people, people kill people. That's coming up. It's on Infowars.com. And then it ties into all of this. Apple iPhone update removes Easter from calendar. And now today, that was a few weeks ago, church forced to remove the word Jesus from Easter advertising. Daily Mail, Australia. Name deemed offensive to non-Christians. They noticed the ecumenical stopped saying Jesus about 30, 40 years ago in churches. They just said God. And Christians pointed out, you need to say Jesus because that's the beginning of the censorship. They hate that name. Like the Bible says, it's a powerful name. Well, they prove they hate it. They want it banned. So there it is. The greatness of his power, Jesus is alive. Well, they had to take Jesus is out. Gosford Waterfront. I'll go through that story. Then we've got another one. I mean, there's a stack of these today. Australia calls for emergency visas for white farmers. We're also going to get into that out of what's happening in South Africa. It is just incredible. I must have mixed my stack around because I had three other stories. I had the one in England where he can't say Jesus is alive. He has to say risen. That was an article I've got and several others. But here's the deal. I can't keep track of all this anymore. So I'll dig around in here and find those other ones. But this is happening, ladies and gentlemen. And then we've got all this other incredible news. Europe is under invasion. Hungarian Prime Minister addresses historic crowd. CNN says ICE deporting illegal aliens is similar to the Holocaust. Stay with us. We'll be back. Please spread the live links and tell folks however you're listening. It's already Friday, the 16th day of March, 2018. We're broadcasting worldwide and have a raft of incredibly informative guests and more. And all over the world, they're banning the word Easter, the advertising of Easter, and the name Jesus Christ. Yes, it's happening. The globalists are making their move, but we're striking back as well.
The right-wing smear machine has gotten Alex Jonesified this election cycle.
There's a guy named Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
From InfoWars.
From InfoWars.
Yeah.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
One of those guys who believes Bigfoot was responsible for 9/11.
I heard that on Alex Jones, so it's true.
Claims that 9/11 and the Oklahoma City bombings were inside jobs.
The conspiracy du jour, Hillary Clinton is harboring a secret medical condition.
You just had to keep digging, didn't you, Alex?
I heard it on Alex Jones, so I know it's true.
Google is being accused of hiding negative stories about Hillary and her campaign by changing its algorithm to bury stories like the Clinton body count story. That's according to website InfoWars.
And this really just is so disgusting.
The juice of these pickles is on you, Alex Jones.
It goes right from Alex Jones, and it shows up in Donald Trump's mouth.
Hillary Clinton created ISIS with Obama.
The very fringe of the conspiracy movement, like Alex Jones, are being kind of incorporated into the campaign.
If Trump gets elected, he's going to be Secretary of Defense.
I think that Alex Jones is a lunatic.
Move, bitch! Get out the way!
Bill Clinton is a rapist. Infowars.com.
Bill Clinton is a rapist.
Bill Clinton is a rapist. Infowars.com. Infowars.com. Bill Clinton's a rapist.
The New World Order sends its regards.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
So I have a stack of news articles from England to the United States to Canada to Australia to worldwide where they're banning the word Easter, banning the word Jesus, banning the word Jesus is alive. That's coming up. Church forced to remove the word Jesus from Easter advertising, saying the word is hurtful. That's in Australia. This is what's happened here in the United States and worldwide. They've created these big nest of colleges from Western Europe to the United States to Australia to you name it, where they have free speech, free zones, and they see how far they can push it, where they say that no whites allowed on the commons for a week. All whites must leave the school this weekend, run by white professors. Antifa comes out from San Francisco to Austin and attacks white people's businesses. And then the news says it's a good thing. This is all an attempt to weaponize and radicalize not just the universities, but to create individuals from those bubbles to then man and command the social media networks, the tech giants, the whole system. And it's here. And once they get you on a digital platform and deny you access to a digital platform like Google, it's like putting you in an electronic gulag. There's a report today where $60+ billion of cryptocurrencies has been wiped out in just one day. And then it's attributed to Google just banning advertising for cryptocurrencies. So see, first you can ban the Nazis. Then you can ban somebody off of Twitter, Facebook, Google. It's being adopted ubiquitously that the word tranny, created by the trans community, is now not allowed and is like the FCC violation. Think about that. And then next it's, oh, we define you as a conspiracy theory. It's not adjudicated. It's not proven. The people defining who is a conspiracy theorist are the people that fit the mold of conspiracy theorist. They theorize that what you're saying isn't true instead of debating the facts of what you're saying. So first it starts with the Nazis, then it moves into the word police, and then Steven Crowder sends his producer into a transhumanist conference where people are saying they're golden dragons and they're beautiful ornate buildings. I'm not kidding. And that's fine of them to play make-believe. Maybe they're My Little Ponies. Maybe you're Maybe you're Shooting Star. Maybe you're Pinky or whatever their names are. My daughters have had them. Little silly names. Nightmare. I'm a purple pony that comes out at night. My name's Nightmare. And if you don't agree with me, you need to be arrested, like in California, if you don't use the proper pronoun. So it's a whole new language that you have to adopt. It's a cult takeover. And the people that are transgender men or women trying to change their gender, they're just pawns at the base level. And the transhumanists to bring in a whole system where when you say, hey, don't go die and believe your brain's being uploaded to a world government computer they're proposing, but you got to die first, that's a scam. They'll have your voice and what you say recorded. It'll be able to fool people. You'll be able to fool the voice print, but you're really going to die. Don't do it. Don't go into that electric prison. Don't be uploaded into the silicon. Now, even if I was wrong and the scam I predicted that's now happened didn't happen, even if I was wrong, which I'm not, I know the enemy's mind, don't I have a right to say, don't go to the government clinic and die physically to save the Earth's carbon footprint so your brain can be uploaded? I mean, that's what I told you they'd do decades ago. It's now being proposed. So one of two things is happening. They're either taking my ideas and executing them, which is not what's happened because I read their plans. That's why I know. Or I've been dead on. And see, that's why they want us banned. And Leanne McAdoo is going to be in studio next hour riding shotgun with me. She's been sued. We're going to show you the video that they're suing us for of her and Lee Stranahan that is totally journalistic and shows how Democratic Party operatives were spokespersons after Charlottesville to go out and put out a narrative saying that anybody that's conservative is a Nazi, basically, and that rallies and free speech needs to be preemptively banned, and that just like we saw in the shooting in Florida a few weeks ago, then the spokespersons out of 3,000 are 4 young people that are anti-gun. That's part of the media controlling the narrative. That's not saying nobody died. That's not saying that they were actors and lied in what they said. They all brag they're actors and are in the drama club, so they're also well-spoken. But see, then they fake news, misrepresents what we say, then calls for a precedent to set for us to be deplatformed. CNN tries to get our sponsors, tries to get us banned off all these different platforms. That fails. So lawsuits are filed by Georgetown University against 7 people and groups, and then misrepresents in a defamatory matter within the 70-page fraud that is protected under law. You can have defamation of what you're claiming in the court. Only place you can get away with it. So what they're accusing us of is what they're doing, defaming us and attacking the First Amendment, and then being public figures running around grandstanding while they attempt to get a payday as a cherry on top after butchering like a Christmas hog the First Amendment. So that said, here's the next little piece of juiciness. It's not just going after saying you can't say in a radio ad or a TV ad or a print ad that Jesus is alive, come to our church, meet him. Saying his spirit is risen, he is with us. That's the heart of the gospel. Fox News and Alex Jones are being sued for conspiracy mongering. New York Magazine. And they define us as conspiracy. And there is the mother of Seth Rich saying, $25,000 reward. He was murdered. We don't know who murdered him. So then we start saying, well, he was a DNC top IT guy. Julian Assange basically says he's their source. So Fox News gets sued for simply questioning that. That's a classic, totally protected. I've talked to the lawyers about that case. It's ridiculous. But see, they think they can go before a jury and say, oh, she's a mom, she lost a child. She says, I can't work anymore because he was murdered. Okay, I understand. I'm sorry. Ma'am, we didn't murder your son, and please don't help murder the First Amendment. All right, I've got a lot of geopolitical news, McMaster news. We've got a bunch of special guests joining us. Zach from high-level intelligence in our government. Great source. We know who he is, what he does. He's going to give us the latest breakdown on what's developing here in the country coming up in the next segment. But I went ahead and just asked the crew during the last break. I said, just go into a search engine and click the news function for what's just happening now and print Easter being banned, Christian signage being taken down, you name it. And you have to understand, this isn't like a government building puts up an Easter symbol or cross. This is Cadbury Eggs taking Easter off of their advertising. This is the British government saying you can't advertise the name Jesus. This is the Australian government. This is a total, absolute assault. And I remember 15 years ago, listeners obsessing over the war on Christmas and the war on Easter. And I remember telling listeners, oh, the left's not really that bad. I mean, I know they're idiots. They want our guns. They're horrible people. But they'll never get away with it. And there's some extreme examples. But then you learn about people not being able to bring Christmas cards to school and hand them out. You have a total free speech right to do that if it's a public school. You just can't have the school say, we have an official religion. You have to follow it. You can't tell the valedictorian or the football coach or whoever that they can't, in a speech they give, say they love God or that they don't love God. I mean, if the football coach gets up at a party the week after they win the state championship and wants to say, you know, I dedicate this to Lucifer, he can do that. You'll probably get let go because people aren't going to like it. And, you know, it's not good for morale, but it's his right. Well, how many valedictorians and people and salutatorians, you hear about it every year, the lawsuits, where the schools tell them, you will lose your grade and be put back a year and have your diploma taken. I've seen this in the news thousands of times the last 20 years. A lot of times in Texas. And then they still get up and go, I want to thank my family. I want to thank my mother, my father. I want to thank my teachers. I want to thank my grandfather. I want to thank, most of all, Jesus Christ for when I was 13 or 14, you know, having some issues and some disciplinary problems, wasn't even making A+. And I was, you know, getting some Fs. And, you know, I went to church and my pastor got me right. It's changed my life and I owe all the glory to God. Boom, your degree is gone. You can go find thousands of those cases. That is Soviet Union level. And it goes on again from the universities that produce the teachers and the faculty and the administration. And then they come in and they do it. And now I realize why 15 years ago, the media would go, there's no war on Christmas. It's insane. Talk radio's obsessed with it. And I would go on liberal talk radio, and I was more of a libertarian as a guest, and they would say, Alex, we don't agree with you on all your gun stuff, but, you know, you're right about this, this, and that in the police state. And what do you say about right-wingers, their obsession with the war on Christmas and the war on Christianity? And I'd say, well, that goes on overseas and in China, but I don't really know about here. So that's one of my blind spots. And now it is total. I mean, you'd read about the Soviet Union banning the word Jesus. You'd read about China, if they catch you having an underground church, arresting you. And now it's going on. I mean, I told you about 3 years ago, I have family that still goes occasionally to, let's just say, the First Methodist Church. And then they were talking to other friends that go to the Methodist Church in San Francisco. They took the crosses out. They don't say Jesus anymore. And now in Europe, Catholic churches, Protestant churches are removing the crosses. And then when Muslims rape people, I saw the headline yesterday, mainstream news, they call it them victims. And I have more in the news today. Yeah, there's CNN. The war on Christmas is peak Trumpism. That was last year. That was this last Christmas. No, it's going on. I have it all right here. But again, they have this tactic where they deny it's going on. Let me stop right there. We're going to get more into it later. We have Zach joining us, our intel source, one of our intel sources, and so much more. We're going to be breaking down today, but huge breaking news on the other side. I told you McMaster is going to be out. We've been telling you that the last month, and exactly why, because Trump found out he was talking to Rice and talking to Powers, and that was actually getting orders from Obama still. That was Obama's national security advisor. And that this particular Soros lady was the nexus point. Well, that's all confirmed. And our information got to the president 2 months ago. He began an internal investigation and discovered that they were still involved spying on him. And so he first lets it go out that McMaster's going to be gone. People lose confidence in him. He goes, oh, no, everything's fine. And then the word is, in 10 days, he'll be gone. That Trump intends to axe him in 10 days. Set your watch. Go ahead and watch next week's news today. Some timetables may change, but within a month, he's gone. And the word is Trump wants him gone now. And that Trump has a formula for how he gets rid of people. So there you go. something very exciting I want to tell you about. My dad's a retired oral surgeon and dentist, and he's the person with the top organic fluoride-free toothpaste developer in the country that created Super Blue, fortified with colloidal silver and iodine. Well, and we also have our high-quality silver bullet, 30 parts per million colloidal silver that's seen as the most effective and safe. Any stronger than that, the FDA does not smile upon it, but we've also found in our research it's the best. We sell the same stuff Whole Foods sells for $25 for $15 on average. Sometimes there's sales, but here's the thing. We have a new product, and my dad gave it this name. He calls it Immune Gargle. I'm going to add in the next run that it's a silver shot is what I want to call it. And I've got my little bottles right here. I should have unraveled these before I plugged them because I've got my bottle at home. But Super Silver Gargle, and we're going to come out with bigger bottles of it as well, where you can actually, this is a supplement. You can actually gargle it. You can drink it as well, spit it out, however you want to do it. But it's all got a high-quality little spray bottle on top. And this is the Silver Sol system that's patented and documented and simply amazing. And I'm going to cut an ad and get all the details on it later. All I know is everybody I know that has had all these colds and all the rest of it, because we've had this here for months, and I've been waiting for the bigger bottles to come, but they just ran the manufacturer of those. And I can tell you there's $3 of product in this. And it's a little 1-ounce bottle. Get a whole bunch of dosages from it. You aerosolize it, shoot it back into your throat, coats the larynx, coats the tonsils, gets into the throat, gets into the bronchioles. And my whole family, when we got back from Colorado, the allergies are so bad, half the office can't even hardly breathe. And without this, my throat was so sore Tuesday night. And I went and did this, and it was just gone. I still have some coughing, but the not being able to breathe and stuff I had on Monday just dissipated, knocked out. And it's amazing. So it's got a particular special type of silver in it. Go read about it at InfoWarsStore.com. It's Super Blue Silver Immune Gargle. And I'm going to change it to Silver Shot Gargle because that's what it does. Well, Zach is a great intelligence source. He's out of Army Special Operations, works in some other secretive areas. He doesn't give us any secret info. Just as a citizen, he gives us his analysis. He's got great intel, a lot of wide-reaching things. And he wants to talk about Seth Rich. There's a lawsuit filed against Fox News for questioning it, even though there's a $25,000 reward for the unknown killer. And Seth Rich was over the IT area. And WikiLeaks has got an impeccable record of being accurate. And they say that, well, we're not going to say who our sources are, but yes, you should investigate Seth Rich as our source being killed. But she says that Fox is trying to steal my son's soul. She's a Democrat crisis experts were hired to come in within 2 weeks of his death. And they took control of the narrative and said, you're attacking a woman if you question his death. I mean, I have nothing against this nice lady, and I understand she's been traumatized. But here's the headline, and I told you weeks ago that's where this is going. Fox News and Alex Jones are being sued for conspiracy mongering. New York Magazine. And they just are celebratory, saying, Fox News, you don't question unsolved murders. And somebody at the DNC. And then there's the mother holding up the sign saying $25,000 reward. This is an attack on investigative journalism. So her son's dead. And I'm sorry Seth Rich is dead. I think the guy was a patriot. We know he was upset about Bernie Sanders having the nomination stolen from him. And that's now confirmed that went on. But we have a right as citizens and as journalists to investigate this still unsolved murder and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the missing computers and her threatening the police to give the computers back. I mean, this whole thing, they want everybody off of this is what it is. I'm not saying the mother does, the Democrats and the globalists, but the Democrats, you can search it. They sent in their top crisis manager to manage this. But I told everybody over and 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 over again, they're setting the precedent with InfoWars. And then they're going to move on to everybody else and saying, you're not allowed to question. Why out of 3,000 young people at the Florida high school in Parkland is it 4 who are anti-gunners whose parents are Democrats? All I'm saying is they picked them to misrepresent the view of the school and to create a national movement against guns. And then now I've got news articles and video of students being ordered to go out and protest against guns, and they hold up signs saying, people kill people, not guns, and the principal says, no, you're in trouble, come with me. That's what the universities and now the public schools are anti-free speech bases, and now the schools, including state-funded, it's not a private university anymore, it's state-funded, they call themselves private, Georgetown is suing me, along with Allen West and others, for simply questioning. And they list in there Seth Rich. They list Comey 2012. They list, they say, I say nobody died in Florida. Never said that. So I'm defamed. They use then fake news they created about me to say I'm fake news, to call for us to be shut down. Do you understand the magnitude? And I know the listeners get this. We're going to go to Zach right now from Morocco. But this is a big, 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 big deal. And they're making their move. And if the media and if people that support free speech don't rally around the First Amendment and sit back and go, oh, well, we've defined our competition as fake news. Now let's deplatform them. Let's take their sponsors. Let's sue them. Let's have Google ban them. It will shut everything down and the dominoes will begin to fall. Just like Google has banned all cryptocurrency ads, one day later, $60+ billion drop in something that is very legitimate. Because new currencies, it's what the marketplace. It's what works best. It's what has value. It's what wins. The globals are going to a digital global cryptocurrency. They just want to let it grow, knock out all the competition, and create a regulated, controlled system so there's not diversity. So, again, they can ban you off the worldwide system of digital currencies. That's the Internet ID that China is pioneering, that we are now adopting. Now that's 60 billion in one day. It's 134 billion in just the last few weeks. Now let's go to Zach, again, a great intel source. I know his full name, know who he is. He's been on national TV. He's been in national papers for his work. He's been given commendations. He's exposed the government protecting radical Islamists before. The government, the FBI all know who Zach is. But, Zach, why haven't you decided to give your full name and stuff just to everybody? Because the government and the globalists and everybody else, when the FBI's come and picked you up for stuff you said on the show and taking you back to the military base to be, shoot out by the other officers, to be threatened, even though they support what you do, I know, overall, but they have to go through the motions. Why not just say who you are soon?
Yes, I mean, that'll be coming very soon, actually, and we could discuss that, maybe even do that reveal there in Austin, Texas. That would be great. Just in the interim, working with some private groups and doing some think tank engineering. It's sort of best for security reasons and some sort of operational things I have going on. But the reveal and full disclosure, I guess you know who I am, people know who I am, but can become public very soon, and I hope to do that with you.
Thank you. I'd love to do it. I'd love to fly you here. I'd love to have you in the studio. And folks I talked to at the Pentagon say you're a great patriot. Before we even started having you on more, we obviously checked into you and found out who you were, and then asked you, and you obviously confirmed all that. Zach, where are we right now with this Seth Rich situation? Was my analysis earlier pretty accurate?
Sure, and we have a lot of dots connect, and that's definitely one we're going to get into. It's my opinion. This is the intel and the sort of best thinking on this. We believe that Seth Rich's mother, wanting to silence and stop the investigations into her son's murder, may be threat-based to her and her family. You see, Seth Rich was assassinated for being a patriot. He was clipped by the deep state and far left factions for obvious reasons. And, they use MS-13 assassins to do their dirty work, which consist of political assassinations, threat, blackmail stateside, as well as gun and weapon running. And
that's why Trump has called out MS-13, because that is now confirmed the arm of the Democratic Party.
Absolutely. So in his speech, this is exactly what I'm going to get into. His speech at Miramar, at the air station there in San Diego, he used the term specifically protecting the homeland. And this is in conjunction with the MS-13 information, which ties in with Seth Rich, because he was assassinated. The thinking is, we believe, that it was an MS-13 assassin team, which does a lot of the deep state's dirty work there, not only running guns, running weapons, doing drug operations and money laundering. Yes, they're committing political assassinations here stateside.
And our sources said this 3 years ago, but they've They've even caught them now in the Middle East shipping guns to ISIS. You said this 6 months ago. It's now come out that the Kurds are communist and are training with Antifa in the Middle East. That's now mainstream news.
Absolutely. And with the executive order signed by Trump putting our country into a state of emergency, these individuals obviously become enemy combatants. So we're not going to have ICE and the Border Patrol have our plans tipped off and foiled. We're going to go in with Marines, with DOD, and round these individuals up, as well as other enemy combatants, as was going on in Phoenix, Arizona about a week ago. They had urban military training in Phoenix, Arizona. They're in the streets in Phoenix, and people, were worried about it, thinking what's going on here. Yeah, this is what's going to have to happen with the executive order being signed. This is all legal and on the up and up. These people are enemy combatants, and make no mistake, it doesn't matter if they're foreign or domestic. They're aiding and abetting terrorists. They're committing political assassinations here stateside, and Trump is going to utilize the military to the fullest of his legal capacity with his executive order.
Well, I was told by other sources a year ago that Trump took the gloves off with the Mexican Mafia, MS-13, all of it, and that they were just being wiped out already.
Oh yeah, it's come a long way, but the mainstream gangs and the MS-13 factions, yeah, they're doing that. They're doing a great job of that. But there's deeper sections that operate under the MS-13 umbrella that are essentially foreign intelligence agencies, is what they are, and they're being used in a political capacity, and it's way out of control. That's why Trump's continued to use the MS-13 name specifically out of all.
And by the way, stay there. If anybody doubts this, I know some folks in the 70s and 80s with big crime problems in Chicago that the Army teams were used to wipe out a bunch of folks in Chicago. So that what we're getting into is something the public doesn't know about but does go on. All right, Zach, stay right there. Zach is giving us information with Infowars.com. He's saying some of these Marine operations on the ground are not just drills, but are covers for wiping out MS-13. That's why the Democrats are so upset, giving them sanctuary in places like Oakland and telling them to resist, because this is sedition by foreign powers. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We're going to get back to Zach, our incredible intel source, and the fact that Fox News is being sued for questioning an open public murder investigation. It's just crazy. The Democrats do not want this to be investigated. The Family First had a big reward out. We're saying they were concerned about foul play, concerned about, the Democrats, all of it. You got Debbie Wasserman Schultz acting very suspicious about the laptops. You got the Awan brothers. All of that now being deep-sixed. And I know what Zach's saying from my own sources is exactly what's going on. You've seen the civil war in Mexico that's killed over 200,000 people, it's estimated now. Well, that's spilt over in the U.S., and Trump said this game of Obama and the globalists arming all these gangs and destabilizing things, he said, it's over. Tell them surrender, or they're going to have to deal with it. And the word is MS-13, all these groups are fighting, and they're just getting knocked down. And so reportedly they're being stacked up like cordwood. I mean, this is a major covert war going on in the U.S., and the Democrats know, these mayors and governors saying, ICE is coming, resist, resist. This is sedition. And the globalists use criminal gangs worldwide for their operations. So we'll talk to Zach again in a moment. I want to introduce the latest super silver product that goes with our great colloidal silver and iodine fortified fluoride-free toothpaste and so much more. My dad's calling this Immune Gargle because you can also swallow it. We've got larger bottles that are on their way. This is the little 1-ounce spray bottle. The others are spray bottles as well. And it has $3 of product in it. It's on sale out of the gates, $9.95. Remember, the average supplement, and this is in the supplement class, has a 7-time markup. This has about 150% markup, but when it's discounted, it's less than that. And it is amazing. It is a godsend. It's so good. It's so portable, so easy to use. It's great to have the little bottle, too, because once you use it, you'll be able to get the bigger bottles we have coming out and then just reload it with that and then take it with you. And started getting sick Monday just from all the allergies and coughing, and just everybody has it, coughing up stuff. And I went, wait a minute, I've got Immune Gargle. And I went and did it, and it's not just silver. It's iodine as EDDI, silver sol, nano silver that's patented, that has all these amazing claims we can even make, smallest available super colloidal silver. So this is really strong stuff. Deionized water, ultra purified, stevia and peppermint essential oil that naturally freshens breath and supports the immune system as well. With Super Blue Silver Immune Gargle. Staying toxic-free on the go is easy and affordable. Help stop the spread of toxins and stay healthy with Super Blue Silver Immune Gargle. It can also be used topically. You know, a lot of these alcohol-based things crack your skin. They lower immunity. They lower fertility. Just look it up for yourself. It's really hurting us, these dispensers you see everywhere that people are using. This doesn't. This is amazing topically on wounds, on surfaces, you name it, and it's concentrated. $9.95 out of the gates, 33% off, introducing Immune Gargle Silver Infusion. I'm going to add that to the next run, because it's a silver infusion. Amazing. Tastes great. It's so good. Smells good. Great for your breath. It will fund the operation. Everything's symbiotic. We sell products that help us get the word out, defend the Republic, defend the Second Amendment, defend the First, defend the 10th, you know, defend making America great again, bringing our industry back, getting us out from under the globalist system that tries to make us poor by design, a neo-feudalistic system. Also back in stock, Myco ZX, now Myco ZX Plus, because it's stronger, and we signed a year contract to get it even stronger and pay less to get it. And so now the new low price is $27. Leading competitors are $60, $70 and aren't even as good. So it's back in stock, InfoWarsLive.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. And you know we're under globalist attack. Georgetown's suing us. The Democratic Party's suing us. The Communist Party's suing us. You can't make this up. We're going to defeat these lawsuits. They're all jokes, but it takes money to do it. So when you purchase products that you and your family need, it moves the world. Now, for the next 6 minutes in the next segment, Zach's 100% got the floor. Recap what you said's happening right now, tied into Seth Rich, and then all the other things that are going on. I know you want to talk about Trump's been hinting at releasing more of the disruptive technology, the globalists call it, more of the stuff that could cause a whole new boom that makes the dot-coms look like a joke. More NASA info. Zach, our great intel source, please continue.
Yes, so, you know, we have so many stories breaking right now that all kind of interconnect. But yeah, the Seth Rich information kind of ties in with this next point, which is the diplomatic flanking maneuvering. You know, the firing and hiring of the Secretary of State and CIA director in recent days are of the utmost importance. This, in conjunction with the chain of command shakeup at Guantanamo Bay, will be an incredible diplomatic and military flanking maneuver to tighten the noose for this geopolitical precision decapitation of the rogue deep state actors and enemy combatants. They have been sabotaging our safety and prosperity for years, and, you know, this is critical. So there's a lot of criticism of Gina Haspel's, the nomination to head up the CIA, because of her following the orders of past administrations. But the reality, of course, is very different, and Trump knows this and has her vetted. You know, having an upper middle management individual who knows all the ongoing plans and players of the past administrations and wants to see change and be a part of an American first CIA and absolutely is the ideal person. So and also having Pompeo there at the State Department is incredible. These two, in conjunction with the Guantanamo Bay shakeup, will flank and really tighten the noose on these people, and it's happening all along the planet. It's going to happen, and this is unprecedented. You know, we said on the show last year, first year salvage, second year savage. This is occurring, and Rex Tillerson's speech there, his farewell speech, very eerie, very cryptic. The first half of it, very bizarre. In certain respects, you know, he learned of this information while in Kenya, and you know he knew it was coming for a long time. But Trump is pretty savvy in what he's doing, and he put him out there, got out of him as much as we could, and really saw where people laid there. But Tillerson had nothing to do with North Korea, wasn't happy about the North Korea information, but was working on some other fronts to include Iran, which Trump is not happy with. But now that he's got Tillerson out of there, now that he has the CIA head that he wants eventually to be in there, this is going to flank them. We're going to close in on them, and they're done here. And the world wants to see it as well. You know, this for the first time for decades, we have a pure chance here at global cooperation and possibly peace. This is unprecedented, and it's going to occur. And it starts at the homeland. That speech at Miramar at the air station to thousands of Marines was critical. He laid it all out. He's been doing it for months and months and months. And he could have come out in the first couple months and do this, but he did it in, I think, a more savvy and strategic way, where he allowed some individuals with connections from past administrations to really show their true colors and really ferret out what the issues were. Now he knows where people lie, absolutely, and he's putting the people in there.
So you're saying he had to let their stay-behind network operate so they could spy on that and then understand how to pull the whole thing down?
Absolutely. Just absolutely surveil them, give them a false sense of security that they're, going to still be working on part of it. But he knows exactly what's going on. That's why Tillerson, while in Kenya, unexpectedly gets fired as the North Korea information is, brought forward. And Iran will be next. The Iran information will be next. We spoke about it I think it was 3 or 4 months ago when Ted Malek was on. I said, look, the Iran shakeup will be next, and it will not be kinetic. As the North Korea stuff, after North Korea stuff is going on. When the CIA, deep state-backed factions aren't double-crossing and sabotaging us here in the States, and as well as, our foreign allies and even enemies, it makes things a lot easier. World peace and, cooperation becomes unobtainable when you have all this double-crossing.
And exactly, they want a strategy of tension and global chaos so they can be in control. People ask, why is the economy coming back so easy? Why is Trump able to get all these deals with Saudi Arabia and Israel and everybody else and North Korea so quickly? And it's because it's straight dealing now.
Absolutely, it's all occurring, and the far left faction are absolutely freaking out, and you're going to see a lot more false flags. Obvious, they have not stopped since the political assassinations of character that you're experiencing, and several other patriots.
Yeah, what do you make of this temper tantrum? I'm told that they're having all their networks cut off, not just by you, but other high-level confirmed sources. They say this is a temper tantrum.
Yeah, they're losing it. The financing's gone. The DNC has no money to begin with, but even their covert funding, the covert funding that they've been running on for a long time is all sucked up. It's out of Saudi Arabia. The deep state's out of there. Their only hope here is China, and China's has no loyalty to them truly. They just want power and sort of projected power. So Trump's strong, he's present, and their money's drying up, and they're realizing that they've picked their sides, and they've really picked the wrong side here.
Oh yeah, I went and saw Annihilation with my wife last night, and of course a Chinese guy is the boss. And my sister's Korean. I'm going to guess Asians. Every Hollywood movie now, China saves us. From The Martian to all these movies, you can see that Hollywood's been taken over by China and the Chinese government programming in the movies, and they admit they're doing that. But from Arrival to this new movie Annihilation, it's just like. The programming is incredible. We'll be right back in 2 minutes with Zach. Please spread the word. Leanne McAdoo is going to be in studio coming in about 15 minutes. She's getting sued, along with Fox News, myself, and others, for questioning mainstream media reports. Absolutely. And then they libel, they defame us, and they say things we didn't say in the suits. But the lawyers are like, no, this will be thrown out. The Western District of Virginia doesn't usually do that, but we feel like this will just probably be thrown out right away, or then it'll just be summary judgment. And then there's slapback provisions, but it's a university. They've never seen that. Usually they're pro-free speech. So this is death by 1,000 cuts, but you're backing us, you're supporting us. We've got Zach for this segment, a little bit more of the next. Zach, again, is an amazing intel source. He's actually a public figure. He's been in major news articles, been in national television as a patriot, decorated individual that works in other clandestine areas, non-Army Special Operations now. And he comes on the show, and just the info he gives us is right lined up with my other sources and what they say is going on. So you were continuing. This is a short segment, a little bit longer segment coming up with this total war we're in, and the left is getting more shrill, more panic, more crazy. But suddenly I've seen some of them, the Joy Behars, Hillary Clinton's former campaign manager, they're all coming out saying, okay, we're sorry, Hillary needs to go away. Maybe Trump's not that bad. I'm starting to see them realize that they've lost.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the more they start picking at it, they're going to, if they really want investigations, they better be careful, what they're wishing for, because they're going to get it. And it's really going to uncover what's really been done here. So now you see them, a lot of the deep state actors in the far left, they're really playing this Russian card real hard. And we just got to be clear here. We cannot blame the entire Russian Federation for the actions of rogue deep state actors who happen to be Russian. But make no mistake, they're being ran by the same deep state that sabotages our country, that attacks our country just like anywhere else.
Explain to people that Russia is infiltrated by the same globalists we are, and to claim that, oh, it's coming from IP addresses in Russia. I mean, that's the easiest way to frame somebody ever.
Absolutely. I mean, these are pretty murky and difficult waters to decipher. But, yeah, technically they are Russian. But they're deep state actors. They're enemies of the Russian Federation. So you can't just tie somebody's name to it and, blame an entire...
Well, that's like Russian bots sending Michael Moore to a demonstration anti-Trump. Most of it's anti-Trump.
It's real dangerous, and, especially with this, they're expelling their them in the UK they're having some real issues here, and Trump's kind of signing on to it. But I got a feeling that Trump and Putin have communicated quite well, and he's really letting everyone see what's going on here.
So you think this is for public consumption, so that the globalists can't push this Russia narrative?
Yeah, there's no question. This happens right when Tillerson's about to leave, right when the CIA gets the shakeup, there, and
so Trump's neutralizing his flank.
Yes, absolutely. And, Tillerson telling people to remain at their posts in that farewell speech is very bizarre, and it needs to be looked into. And, of course, a lot of people are looking into it. But, Russia here is fighting a war in Syria that, with all due respect, we started over decades. So they're actually physically, taking care of this, this radical Islamic threat. They're getting their name dragged through the mud with the collusion crap. And now all of a sudden they're being attributed to all these assassinations around the world to these individuals who happen to be Russian connected. Yeah, there's bad factions in Russia, but to blame the entire federation that's trying to get on its feet is really dangerous, and it gets real hard to decipher because technically they are Russian.
And right before the Putin election, they do something in the Russian factions to embarrass Putin.
Absolutely.
And then they leave a trail so the British MI6, famously corrupt, can wave that in front of Trump and make him blame Russia.
Absolutely. Get us involved in a major real kinetic conflict that will stifle and stop all the progress that we're making globally and give them cover to, do other things behind the scenes from a deep state level.
So that's the globalist endgame, is start a bigger war to derail America coming back.
That's their last big blow. That's all they got here. Their funding's drying up. They have to pull out all the stops. They're going to go for broke, and this is pretty good cover for them to try to just buy time, because that's all they got, because they are hurtling toward the inevitable. They're done. They're going to be prosecuted. The money's gone. But if they can't somehow get us into a war with Russia, make no mistake, it will be a distractory enough event to provide some cover and just buy them time.
Let's talk about that. How do we stop the globalists triggering a war with Russia with Zach on the other side? Couldn't be a more important topic than Leanne's coming in. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Zach is a former Army Special Operations officer, patriot that still works in areas of clandestine industry in the government, and he's a great source. We have had so many things he breaks down here on air end up coming true or unfolding. A lot of what he talks about dovetails with the QAnon, but my other sources in the Pentagon and other areas, they're saying the same things. It's just that Zach, you get to hear from somebody who's got that same understanding and mindset to give you that best thinking perspective. So now you've got this former GRU colonel out of Russian intelligence who's been in the UK over a decade. He ends up with his daughter getting nerve gassed out on a porch outside of a little shop, a little 5-and-dime grocery store. They get found, they get taken in critical condition. Then we hear, oh, within days, it's the Russians, they did it. And Zach's saying the intel he's got is that there's a trail back to Russia to make it look like that. Well, Russia's 160, 170 million people. It's 3 times geographically the size of the U.S. Just like Soros spends billions trying to overthrow Russia, 80% of the Russian bots, which were still small compared to other bots, were just, that's how you get around campaign finance law. You go spend money in a foreign country, and then you affect the election. There were hundreds of countries that had bots, and most of it was for Hillary. You remember during the campaign, Hillary was being shoveled down your throat. Conservatives were getting blocked and all the rest of it. So then 600,000 Twitter users that ever had a Russian bot post on their page, just a comment, oh, you're now a Russian agent. So Zach was getting into the attempts by the globalists, by the leftist stay-behind networks to trigger a war with Russia. It's all they've got left with their networks drying up. So we've got 7 minutes left before we go to break and come back with Leanne McAdoo. Recap all that critical information, Zach, and then roll through it in any other points.
Yes, and basically what's going on, I mean, it's not hard to figure out. And I know that the White House knows this just due to the collusion fiasco. They're drawing all these things that there's nothing there. They know there's nothing there. So when Russia's being persecuted for all these issues, it's not too hard to tell that this is ridiculous and it's along the same thinking. It's the same people. We can't blame the entire Russian Federation for the actions of rogue deep state actors who happen to be Russian. And obviously our intel communities know this, and the White House obviously knows this. There's some things out here for public consumption that are going on, but Trump knows what's going on, and eventually, Trump and Putin will get along, and this will all work out, I'm sure of. But, when you start doing things like this, things escalate very quickly, so we do have to keep an eye on it. But this is all meant to give them cover and just buy them time. All while, in that speech at Miramar, Trump also, while talking to the Marines, spoke about the Space Force. So this is what they're trying to stifle, because this is the big...
And by the way, you said that months ago. You said Trump's going to announce big stuff in space, and that's on record.
This is it. This is the future. In that speech at Miramar, Trump announced the Space Force to be created. He says in the speech, we're going to make Colonel John Glenn proud. He speaks of going to Mars very soon as well. Then he emphasized that we would be doing none of this if Hillary Clinton had even won, because they do not want there to be a multiplanetary future that's human-based. That's more ground for them to cover.
And by the way, that's what Musk and others have said. That's what I've said decades ago. The globalists want a transhumanist into our life form, merging with machines, total power trip. And Trump and this whole movement is just about having a human future. Doesn't mean Trump's perfect, but this is a pragmatic, pro-capitalist human future where humans get to decide what they want to do with their own personal evolution.
Absolutely, and a lot of this information started to come out now. Under the past administrations, space exploration was completely just dampered and just handcuffed for obvious reasons. They got to keep us fighting at each other's necks. They got to play the race card, because there's only one race that matters once you go multiplanetary, and that's the human race. That's really hard to fight against each other if you realize we're all of the same blood type. We're all of the same blood. We're all of the same.
And there's unlimited space, unlimited resources.
You go multiplanetary, the race car gets thrown right out the window, because we have to, broaden our horizons, really start thinking outside of the box, and they know that, and that's just something that happens immediately when we leave this planet and go to the moon and set up bases, and go to Mars and set up bases. And this is not conspiratorial. This is Elon Musk just a week ago.
This is a fact. They put out their leftist conspiracy theory that space travel doesn't happen. It's got to all be robot. Let's talk about these new systems they discovered.
Absolutely. So, Thomas Zurbuchen, the NASA Science Mission Director, comes out with the TRAPPIST-1 system, the discovery of it. They're looking at it. And what the TRAPPIST-1 system is a group of 7 planets with atmospheres much like our own. And, he explains that finding a second Earth is not a question of if, but when. And this is the working theory. This is what we're going towards. But it's specifically at the helm of it. This is going to be a pro-human expansion. This is going to be a pro-human exploration, and the Silicon Valley sultans can't stand this in real time, as Trump is telling the troops that we're going to have a space force, as we're having,
because they want a total monopoly here on Earth with us into their forced reality, into their false reality to play God. They don't want the big expansion. And people say, oh, it's impossible. Folks, we're already 99% there with the technology we've got. Well, look how far we've already come. We're unstoppable. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And, at the same time, Trump's laying this all out with his National Space Council and in speaking to the Marines. Elon Musk is in the ATX in Austin, there in your backyard, speaking at South by Southwest, supporting and reaffirming what the president is laying out, because, of course, they're working closely together via the DOD. And Elon laid it all out for the world to hear, specifically the anti-humanity Silicon Valley sultans and the globalists. He loudly emphasized that human civilizations are coming to the moon. Human civilizations are coming to Mars. And, he speaks in straightforward terms and warns of the AI. He says if people haven't watched that speech that happened about a week ago, they need to watch it. He says he says he is as close to it as anybody, and it scares the hell out of him. He says the advent of AI is more dangerous than nuclear warheads by leaps and bounds, without question. And he calls on President Trump to form a human public panel to oversee all of it. He says it's much more than the nuclear weapons. We have people overseeing all the nuclear weapons, of course. We have to have a human.
And that's what I've always been saying, is we need a human preservation defense league. And we have to, because the globalists, again, are such human haters, they believe they're going to become this new alien. And the media always says, oh, Jones claims that Silicon Valley are aliens. No, they all say that they believe they're going to become these transcendent gods. This is their weird satanic religion. And it's so good to suddenly see this all over the news. But I'm not bragging, but I've been warning everyone for 20 years, reading what the globalists were saying and doing. And I'm just wondering, when you were in the military a decade ago or so, were people talking about this then? How is it all suddenly, everything we talk about is now the front page?
Yeah, I mean, it's been going on. It's been planned for quite some years. It's been stifled and kind of held back because people didn't want this to happen. But now that Trump's in the White House, it's all really coming to fruition and it's coming out. And, you know, it's inevitable and it's going to happen if we're not sabotaged. And Trump's doing everything in his power not to allow us to be sabotaged. While he's addressing the Marines and letting them know that we're going to the stars, you have Elon Musk at South by Southwest saying the advent of digital superintelligence must be symbiotic with humanity. It must be symbiotic with humanity. He emphasizes over and over and over. Then he calls on entrepreneurs to support him because they're going to need industry and infrastructure on the moon and Mars in the future. This is the push for the future, and this is what they're trying to suppress because they have a real problem with interpersonal affairs playing the race card when we leave this planet because we are all of one race.
Sure, and if you look at everything the globalists do, splitting men and women, splitting people because of color, it's all like it's an alien force. The globalists sabotaging anything we're going to do because they think, oh, investment in space takes away from us. No, it's a non-zero-sum game. You create, all of our new economies came out of the space race. The whole new system has to come from off-world investment. That's what we've got to do. That's what creates the new economy.
Absolutely, and this is the future. It's just incredible to witness this all. We're actually living in it. We're a part of it, and to be caught up and to just be, just held down and have an anchor around our ankles with just internal conflicts that are fabricated is ridiculous. And Trump's calling them out, and with the shuffle going on, the diplomatic flanking of the CIA director, the State Department, Guantanamo Bay, our foreign allies, really doing everything, we are allowing ourselves to unshackle from those binds and really go to the stars because it's inevitable.
That's right. Well, it's that or destroy ourselves, and the globalists are a breakaway civilization siphoning everything off for themselves to do this. They don't want this for everybody. Amazing, Zach. Thank you for the time. Look forward to having you here in person very soon and releasing your identity to folks. We'll be right back with critical breaking news with Leanne McAdoo, your calls and more. Stay with us. The globalists really are trying to shut down free speech, not just here but worldwide. Leanne McAdoo is here in studio with us. She, again, about a year ago, moved to take care of her grandmother who had serious surgery, but she comes back and works with us and does reports on the road. And she was already scheduled to be here for months when this lawsuit came out against her. And here it is, Leanne. Fox News and Alex Jones are being sued for conspiracy mongering. And then we get defined as conspiracy mongers, saying investigate the unsolved murder of Seth Rich. And that's what Fox is being sued for. That's also listed in their suit. This doesn't even make any sense. And you're in there, and here's another one. New lawsuit reveals challenges of taking fake news peddlers, they define us as that, to court. And they even basically admit there's nothing there. The lawyers have looked. It's just a defamation statement in the 70-page lawsuit against Alan West and others. And they say that I called them crisis actors, and then it was all fake. Again, they defame me again, but say don't listen to him because they'll know I didn't say that. So this is next level, Leanne, and you've been listed in this. We were looked at the video that they use in their evidence. You don't say anything. Lee Stranahan says nothing. I mean, not one-tenth of what I've said, and I didn't say what they said I said, which would still be protected, my lawyers say. So now, though, Fox News sued, saying don't investigate my son's death, even though they put a reward out. Just don't look at it anymore. I mean, this is the end of investigative journalism if this goes through.
Right. I mean, you're not allowed to question the official narrative. And as we know, this is something that is, they've been setting us up for this for quite some time. I mean, even the fact that the term conspiracy theory was a weaponized term by the CIA to stop people from questioning the official government narrative. But now they're having to contend with the fact that videos can go viral. And so now they're really trying to, again, use this term, conspiracy theorist or conspiracy monger, that I guess that's the new term, to just delegitimize anything that is being said. And now will they go ahead and talk to you about what is in the video or what we're saying? Or do they just say, oh, well, you know, there was also another Chobani lawsuit. Literally had nothing to do with what was being said in the video.
And by the way, we later learned with Chobani, they settled it. I'm not supposed to, but then I figured out what it was about. It was a press release. It was PR.
And that's what this is as well.
And so I'm not going to tell you what happened with Chobani because it's sealed, but let's just say this. I can't even say it.
They take that. Well, they took
Oh, my God. My bank account got bigger the other day when a check came in. I mean, the point is that this is PR, folks.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what we're noticing is that they're, even just to have this out there in the news, it's like they're using these to stack
the deck to say, oh, see, well, there was this, there's that. They don't give their readers any actual information as to the content or
that's like
the outcome. It's just to create this narrative.
The creator of Pepe the Frog in 2015, the Daily Dot, and other publications said, it's free, there's no trademark, no copyright, use it. He just got, late last year, his trademark on a poster we were selling before that somebody else made where Pepe's only a small part. It's totally protected. There's not even a debate. But they don't care. They just want the headline that I stole intellectual property and I'm being sued.
Right.
So, again, I have to sue these people back, and that's what we're doing. It's Leanne, though, did you ever think we'd be right at the center of this, though? You've been working here, what, 5 years?
Well, you know, I think what really kind of, the 2016 election kind of sealed it for me, where it was just like, wow, we are really in there. I mean, Hillary Clinton said your name during one of her speeches.
Well, she called me Dark Heart.
Yeah.
And then she sicked the entire army against me and ran ads, edited what we said to be deceptive.
Exactly. And that to me sort of underscores and gives me a little bit of faith that everything is going to be okay, because even with all of those attacks, we still came out on top. And the American people still came out on top. President Trump was elected. So even with all of this misinformation that's out there, all of these weaponized terms, the policing of words, the policing now of your thoughts, you can't even commit a thought crime, or you're
all over the world, including the U.S., they're banning advertising the name Jesus, and they're taking Easter out of all the calendars. I mean, it's incredible how they got the universities. I mean, you have a degree from UT in journalism. Was it that bad when you were there a decade ago?
You know, yeah, I kind of tapped out of my higher education. And of course, I went all the way and got my degree. But yeah, I mean, it's like total leftist propaganda coming out of the universities and clearly out of these middle school, high schools as well.
And now they're telling students, oh, you can't march pro-gun with a sign saying people kill people, not guns. Right. You go to the principal's office.
Right, and that's it. I mean, we are just seeing this unprecedented attack on
everybody,
policing words and thoughts. So if you want to have a sign that says guns don't kill people, people kill people, you're going to get that sign taken away. But, you know.
And we're showing video of the principal, the articles on Infowars.com in America, sending him to the principal's office for his sign.
Right, and then we have another Ohio student suspended for refusing to leave the classroom during this gun control walkout. So your protests are, which by the way, other signs were like, Western civilization has got to go. So this is what these kids are saying. Yes, Western civilization, which brought you the protected right to go out and protest, right? That's got to go. But, you know, to protest, but to not go out and protest, that's going to get you in trouble.
And they're ordering teachers to go, or they get suspended. Principals that say it's bull are getting fired.
Right.
And again, this is really happening. They got the universities to be these anti-free speech bubbles, and now the cancers are shooting tentacles out and suing us to end our speech.
Exactly. And there was actually a poll that came out just recently where it was talking, you know, with students about, you know, how they feel about free speech and inclusion. And it was kind of positive in the sense that the majority of these students are really for free speech and not for curtailing it.
And that's why Generation Z, they're saying, is the most libertarian, pro-free speech ever, because they're in these schools being brainwashed and they're rebelling. Just like 50 years ago, they were too right-wing, and that made them rebel leftist.
Right. Well, here's the rub, is that one of the questions in the survey asked them to then choose. All right, well, when it comes to choosing which objective is more important to a democracy, is it free speech or promoting an inclusive society?
Oh.
And then they were like, oh, well, inclusion is more important. But that's the thing. Here in the United States, we don't have to choose. The beauty of free speech is literally
Well, that's the whole game. They're saying, get rid of free speech, that creates inclusion. No, that creates nightmare tyranny.
Right.
1984, Nazi Germany, Soviet Union, Pol Pot, Khmer Rouge, Venezuela, nightmare. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with more on the other side. And look, if we're successful taking the country back, I'll stop running that liner. But we still haven't gotten the country back. Got a beachhead in D.C. It's not perfect. But Trump's latest firings and what he's doing shows he's for real. And we were right down to the end of the country. But the globalists aren't stopping. And I warned everybody when they sued us last week that they were coming after everybody in investigative journalism. And now Seth Rich, shot repeatedly in the back, his mother wanting an investigation, is putting out a $25,000 reward you know, all of this, all the stuff that went on with Seth Rich and Debbie Wasserman Schultz threatening police on TV, you better give me the laptops back, and the Awan brothers and all the foreign infiltration, and Assange saying it wasn't over the internet, we were given it by an insider. And they keep calling it a Russian hack, and then the NSA experts look at it and say it was downloaded inside the DNC at the rate it was downloaded. They can see that, and then we're not supposed to question that, or we get sued? Right. Do listeners understand? And then to see all the rest of the media, New York Mag, you name it, gleefully saying, oh, look, we put tinfoil on Congressman Allen Westhead and tinfoil on Alex Jones and tinfoil on Jim Hoff. They're crazy. No, they know we've broken a lot of massive stories, so they misrepresent what we say, and then they call for us to be banned. I mean, aren't people outraged by this? Leanne McAdoo, you got a ton of news that ties into this.
No, they're not outraged. And honestly, you know, that's one of the things that's really bothering me the most about people calling and asking for a statement or whatever. And it's just like they're salivating, oh, I'm a reporter here, and you said, do you stand by what you say? It's like...
They flip it. You're being persecuted by every historical yardstick. You literally did nothing in the interview with Lee Stranahan. And people, in fact, you put it on screen, the name of the interview. People could see the evil. What was the headline? It was Bombshell?
Bombshell connection between Soros, Charlottesville or something.
Chaos, yeah. So we've got the video on there. We can put it on screen. It's on YouTube. There it is. Bombshell connection between Charlottesville, Soros, and CIA.
And they don't talk at all about what we were actually reporting on, which was just the similarities in some of the protests.
No, they say, Leanne says nobody died and crisis actors were in Parkland and there's Martian moon bases.
I literally did not say a thing. I didn't say the person's name. I didn't, it's just... It was kind of brought up like oh, and by the way,
it's defamatory
this
against
is curious, and this is a coincidence. I mean, why isn't anyone talking about this? That's literally all it is, but you are not allowed to ask about curious coincidences.
And that's what my lawyers said. They said, because there's been others before, they said, well, there might be an issue here, but not. They're like, this is crazy. This is the biggest attack ever. They're arguing for the overturn of the First Amendment. They reverse everything the Supreme Court said. He said these professors are like banging their head into a wall.
Right. And the journalists are like, are you going to say, you know, you're protected by the First Amendment? It's just like, wow.
Well, it's like their job to try to create this atmosphere to get rid of the First Amendment. I mean, they're now admitting they want to get rid of the Second.
Right, and they're...
Remember, all those years it was fake news. Nobody wants your guns. Nobody wants to repeal it. Now, Bill Maher, the New York Times, NBC, they're all saying repeal it, repeal it, repeal it, repeal it.
Exactly.
But Bernie Sanders goes and gives a speech and has 5 armed guards. It's okay because he's a communist.
And then you have the kids being taught in school that they have to make a choice when it comes to free speech, whether they're going to...
Oh, yeah, you got... Get back into that. Tell folks that's amazing.
Whether they'll choose. So this was a poll. This is coming out of the Federalist. One question in a poll of college students crystallizes the debate over free speech. So they're taking this poll, and almost 90% of students say protection of free speech is extremely or very important to American democracy. You know, this is looking good. 2/3 also believe hate speech shouldn't be protected by the First Amendment, which I'm pretty sure it is not.
So it's all definitional. They go, that's what I love to say to me. They go, we have our speech, you're going to be banned.
Right.
And I go, that's not free speech.
Well, so they understand the value of free speech, but it's being now put across in a way that the students think they're going to have to choose, like Twitter, Facebook. Well, you got to choose. Do we protect free speech, or do we have an inclusive society? As if the First Amendment does not already protect having an inclusive.
And then the leftists say they can kill us. The leftists say they want to shut us up. They can bully us all day, though. But if we just criticize them, we're taking off.
Right.
This is authoritarianism. It's here. So they've taken, what do we do, McAdoo? Because they've taken these bubbles of anti-free speech worldwide, these government globalist-run universities. They've built up armies of anti-free speech people. Now they're deploying them to take over all the big tech giants, all the telecoms, Google, Facebook, Twitter, to censor us. What do we do?
Well, people need to understand what is happening here and understand that it's not just InfoWars that is under attack. Yes, if they want to set this precedent where we're not even allowed to question the official narrative, or if our eyes are literally seeing something, but they're telling us, gaslighting us, saying that that's not what's going on.
Or we have 5 witnesses saying multiple shooters. We don't even know if that's true. That's what the students are saying. And they ban those videos of real students?
Right. And it's not just going to be InfoWars under attack. There's an...
Oh, the day after they sued us, they sued Fox.
Right.
And they put us together.
Right.
They said Fox is involved in fake news. We're suing them. And then all Fox did was say, we're investigating Seth Rich's murder.
And again, it's controlling the words people are allowed to say, how they use them, and now getting down to policing people's thoughts, because people are being trained, thanks to social media, to not even wrong think. Otherwise, their accounts are going to get taken down. They're not going to have their YouTube ads. You can't even question anything. And so there was an article, a lot of people noticed they weren't able to share this article, Why Democrats Would Lose the Second Civil War Too. And so this is an article, it was written by Kurt Schlichter out of the town hall. And so it's basically just giving this kind of theoretical story of, you know, if we were to actually have a second civil war, which people, you know, are talking could possibly happen, the Democrats would lose. Well, it's being spun. Here, this is a Mediaite. 7 most insane quotes about killing liberals in Kurt Schlichter's second Civil War fantasy article. So now he's actually calling for killing liberals, right? So Twitter won't even let you share this article. And so you're not allowed to see this because, oh, that's, you know, meanwhile.
What they don't like is it was the Democrats that lost the first time, too.
Exactly.
It's like, because it points out, hey, you're the KKK. Hey, it's incredible.
Right. No, you can't.
They won't let me share articles about Margaret Sanger with Klan rallies being Heil Hitler, and then Time Magazine giving her Woman of the Year like 5 years ago.
Well, that's because
they don't want history known.
They've totally convinced the youth and others that Trump is literally Hitler, but they don't want you to understand history that Hitler literally took the guns, and that's why they had all those problems.
And Hitler literally thanked Margaret Sanger for giving him his plan.
Right.
Who was funded by the Rockefellers.
So Trump is literally Hitler, so let's let him take our guns away so that only the police...
They're now blocking on Twitter and Facebook trying to share videos, it's in the news, saying that George Soros was a Nazi collaborator who had the best time of his life and is not sorry for all the Jews he helped round up and kill.
Right.
That's now anti-Semitic to expose a guy that rounded up Jews.
Right, and so that's my point. So on the one hand, you're not allowed to share this article, Why Democrats Would Lose the Second Civil War Too. But if New York Times wants to glamorize Antifa, what to wear to smash the state, anti-fascist activists believe in dressing for the job they want. Right now, many think that job is punching Nazis. And
that means anybody having free speech, they call you a Nazi. And notice they're not smashing the state. Antifa wants a bigger state.
Exactly. And then they've got behind Berkeley's Semester of Hate, again, trying to normalize this violent political activism. We've got Yahoo News hailing the new generation of anti-gentrification activists who use violence to frighten off invaders, AKA white people.
Oh, yeah, Huffington Post and others, and the Statesman have articles going, look at Jones trying to help the Blue Cat Cafe. Big deal, the windows got smashed and super glue put in there and the cat starved and they're attacking people. They're white women that moved into a parking lot and then took care of cats. And then it's other weird white people leading the anti-gentrification. I mean, this is next level.
Right.
We're like the Huffington Post is like all over the country. They're standing up to those white scumbags and punching them in the face.
Right, and that's the dangerous thing that's happening right now is they are policing words, they're policing thoughts, and they're telling you one thing about one side, and then...
And they're setting the precedent. Put those women back up. No criminal record, nice liberal women taking care of cats. If they can let people attack women with cats, they know they can do anything. And the left is like, sick them. How dare you be nice to the cats?
Exactly. And this is like, again, eating their own.
And by the way, Leanne, we're not joking. For new listeners, this is really happening.
Right, right. And that's exactly, it's like, it's not just going to be someone moving, it's going to be the cat lady that moves into the neighborhood and just wants to help out cats.
They're telling us.
It's going to be taken down too.
Exactly. They're telling us be docile, be passive, do whatever we say, while they radicalize all these folks for a takeover.
Right.
No, the answer is get aggressive, stand your ground, and say no. And if your city council backs stuff like this, sue them.
Right.
I mean, let me tell you, Berkeley, Austin, all these people are evil. They know what they're doing. They're evil. The good news is the globalists are starting to lose their stranglehold over national sovereignty and over people's minds. But they are filing thousands of lawsuits a week that we know of against liberty movement, against police departments that do their job, against conservatives, against Christians, you name it. And now, remember the lady that got shot in the back by the illegal alien who admitted he shot her and they wouldn't even charge him with manslaughter? The jury wouldn't even convict him of manslaughter. And he went free, deported 4 times, all sorts of background crimes. Well, then we tried to go out to a vigil after she was killed, and the jury, as virtue signaling, let him go. And they had Antifa there with guns, not letting Owen Schroyer go on the park, and the police did nothing. We have video of that. Well, now he's suing the feds for persecuting him, ever even deporting him. Illegal alien who was acquitted of murdering Kate Steinle sues the federal government for filing charges against him. Wow, he admits he shot her in the back. And the virtue signaling lawyers are now representing in a lawsuit, and San Francisco and Oakland and all those cities are saying, resist ICE, even when they have warrants, even when they come for MS-13, resist, resist. The governor says we're standing against this when it's federal jurisdiction. Imagine in Mexico, you know, when the you know, police are having shootouts with drug dealers or whatever on the border of Cancun trying to keep it safe. And I like Mexico. I wish it would come back. Imagine if the Mexican federal government was told you can't come into a city and you can't deport people that are here illegally. They'd shoot you in the head. I mean, no one puts up with this crap. So this is open sedition. Leanne, get into it. This is amazing.
Right. So we have this illegal alien who was acquitted of murdering Kate Steinle. He's now suing the feds for vindictive prosecution. And so, as you mentioned, he wasn't charged with manslaughter because the jury said it could have been accidental.
But manslaughter means accidental.
Right. But they did convict.
Won't even give him 5 years, man. Blew a young woman apart.
They did convict him of felony possession of a weapon, right? So we agree he's a criminal. He had 7 previous felony convictions and had been deported 5 times before finding sanctuary.
And he was obviously mentally ill. The big problem is we don't have mental institutions anymore.
Right. And so now he's just saying that he's being subjected to unfair treatment. President Trump tweeted out how it was a disgraceful verdict in the Kate Steinle case. No wonder the people of our country are so angry with illegal immigration. So now,
but he says he shot her in the back.
But it could, it was an
accident. I just found it and boom, shot her in the back. Yeah. Okay.
But imagine having to just protect your political ideology, protect your wanting to push for sanctuary state so much that you know what's going on, but you'll just breathlessly fight for this guy. And if I was a taxpayer there in California, these are their taxpayer dollars that are paying for his defense. And can you imagine Kate Steinle's father? So now not only does this guy, pretty much get off free, but now his tax dollars are going to pay for this guy's defense again. And we have, ironically, in order for him to prove his case of vindictive prosecution and collusion between state and federal law enforcement, they're demanding all the records of communication between federal, state, and local law enforcement. But California is specifically battling them to restrict that cooperation. They don't want the state and the federal governments to cooperate. They don't want them to share information. But now
what it is a disaster. And let me say this, California is beautiful. It's amazing. But I can't go out there anymore because the people are like crazed-eyed lunatics, especially the white people. And I'm not just saying that to be virtue signaling. It is weirdo, neurotic white people leading this. I mean, you look at the Huffington Post articles where like, hey, anti-gentrification are beating up white people and running them out of neighborhoods, and it's weird white women leading a bunch of young minorities to go beat up white people.
Right.
I mean, and then if you punch them back in these towns like San Francisco, we have people on, they indict where a man punches you, you punch him back, the police arrest you, and then felony charge you if you defend yourself.
Right. No, it's gone crazy. So on the one hand...
Well, it's like you said, they have to defend this ideology, so now they won't even convict people. And now MS-13, that's a scourge on especially Hispanics, they won't even stop known murderers or deport them because no, they're angels. Everyone is allowed to not go to jail.
Right, because of course all of this was happening in 2015, lead up to the 2016 election. And that was such an important thing for them to be able to push for these sanctuary cities, sanctuary states like California, that they had to let this go. That they're not going to defend this woman, this poor woman who had her.
By the way, have you been out to California lately? I mean, it's scary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't enjoy going to places, especially the large cities. Now, I know
I went to Seattle,
California, that get so upset because they're like, it's not all of us. We know you guys. We know that there are actually a lot of conservatives in California, but your voice is suppressed. If you're not in one of these bigger cities, you're kind of like stuck voting the way they do.
Well, there's also massive election fraud. Right. I mean, you saw the video in Seattle. I went there, and it's a beautiful area, a lot of nice, cool stuff, but crap everywhere, feces all over the place, heroin heads everywhere, and then weird leftist craze running up screaming, you're a Nazi, F you, and they look like goblins.
I remember this video. But to just have California battling against being able to communicate with state and federal government so that the immigration officials, there's no communication. They don't want them to help them whatsoever. We've got the mayor there sending out the call. Hey, by the way, there's going to be an ICE raid. Protect yourselves. You know, so they want to absolutely have no communications. But unless they want to go and defend this illegal alien, then they want to demand to know what type of communication. I mean, it's just.
Could you imagine, though?
Laws for the American citizens in this country.
I mean, can you imagine, though, you've been in Mexico, you know how bad many of the cities are, the hundreds of thousands dead. You're just up there trying to become a citizen. They made it really hard. Trump's trying to make it easier. And the Democrats want it basically impossible, so you have to be in their little underworld of their control. Because let me tell you, that's what's really going on, is feeding on these people.
Right. Well, you have like a 60% of Mexican Americans there in California who are for these tougher immigration laws. They don't want it to just be willy-nilly. Like, they moved away from a place that does not. It's
almost 70% in Gallup polls, and you know it's higher than that, of Hispanic Americans go, yeah, we have borders, and you got to deport people that have committed felonies.
Right. We want to live in a country that abides by the rule of law. We don't want it to descend into a third world country. So, you know, but we're not allowed to hear that side, or we're not allowed to hear from those people. They're called all sorts of names by people that are in their own racial demographic. You know, you're a traitor, whatever. But meanwhile, it's really actually people who have just gotten out of that democratic prison, that prison.
Why are blue cities always have like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times the crime, human feces all over the place, and just crazy people everywhere? What is wrong with leftist cities?
Well, and honestly, that's why I love being back in Austin with you guys and being here in the safety and comfort of the Texas Central Command Center, but I don't feel safe on the streets of Austin anymore. It's weird. It has a really weird vibe here now. The energy is just totally different.
It's kind of like Seattle meets L.A.
Yeah.
And
everyone thinks they're so cool and they know so much, but they know absolutely nothing. They're living in a total
I cut through downtown yesterday because of traffic, and I was looking at the people all trying to act cool and standing out on street corners, and it was just so nerdly, and they were all alone. They were all by themselves. No one was talking to anybody. They all had smartphones. They were all getting ripped off to go to South by Southwest, and it was like, these are the follower chumps.
Right. These are the people who are demanding that your First Amendment get taken away, or who, as we've got, you know, Agent Pye at the FCC and others warning us that these are the people who are going to decide future election winners. These are the people who are deciding what information you're allowed to have.
And by the way, to a person, when we go out with cameras, they say, we want to get rid of free speech of conservatives.
Right.
And it's like, man, they really want to assault us, because you take somebody's speech, next you take all their other freedoms. We got Khan here in town and the head of YouTube saying, take our free speech. Folks, you can fight back. We're going to win this battle, but it's for all the amendments. You know, the second's next. We need you to go to InfoWarsStore.com. We have the very best products out there. And with a lot of the allergies and issues and breathing things going on this time of year, let me tell you, without lung cleanse with all these key essential oils and things. Leanne was saying, you know, when she got to Austin, she felt all the seasonal discomfort, all the pollen. You were saying how much this helped you. It's up there. We've got the new Super Silver formulation that has come out, that is in a spray bottle, that is concentrated, not just with the patented form of really strong, powerful silver Sol Nano Silver. It has iodine as EDI, and it has deionized water, stevia, peppermint essential oil, and more. And it's also disinfectant for the hands. It smells good for the breath. This is our newest product, 33% off out of the gates. So it's $9.95. There is $3 of product in this. Ladies and gentlemen, the other leading brands of similar stuff has like 30 cents of stuff in it. This has $3 of product in it. I want to explain. Leading competitors, 7 times markup. At the regular price, it's got 150% markup. It's a low-cost item, so we have to have a little bit more markup to be able to do it. Right now, though, it is at $9.95 out of the gates. Get it today, part of the Super Blue family of products. Without even looking, I have dozens and dozens of articles a day with major universities saying whiteness is inherently evil. It must be eradicated. White women, if your baby's part white or white, kill it. UMV to host lecture on existential threat of whiteness. It's just total civil war, psychological warfare. We're going to get more into this in the next segment and play clips, but they're taking out of calendars now Easter, but leaving other religions' holidays. Apple, they're now banning saying Jesus in ads. $500,000 if you don't bake the gay cake, but we're not going to let you put an ad out saying come to our church and meet Jesus. Because that's false advertising because Jesus isn't real. It's the atheists, everybody are now controlling everything we do, and they know it. They admit they're doing it. I think they've jumped the shark. I think just like in Europe, people are bringing in nationalist and free speech folks in every election. I think that this is going to be their Waterloo.
I mean, this is just incredible, the policing of language. And I do believe people are starting to wake up saying, all right, we know there's a war on Christianity. There has been. But now a church in Australia was actually forced to change their digital signs. They could no longer invite people to their Easter Sunday event. They couldn't use the word Jesus because it was offensive.
And they're saying on their signs on their property.
It was offensive to some people who might see these signs. They're offended by the word Jesus. They were allowed.
It's hate speech. Jesus is, well, colleges are taking down the word man, and major colleges in their writing department give them handbooks saying, don't say man, because the word man's bad, and they're taking down murals of football players off field houses because seeing masculine men, and another thing I saw is Jones takes his shirt off in a few ads and, you know, at the beach. So now it's like a dirty thing if I take my shirt off, too.
Right. Everything's got to be sexualized. Everything is offensive. Everything like is a hate crime. It's a word of hate speech, which is what they're trying to teach these kids. That's when we can put regulations on free speech, is when it's hate speech. Oh, okay, we'll give you that. Well, then what's hate speech? Jesus. Saying the word Jesus is such a hateful.
And by the way, it's not isolated. When we come back, I've got like 5 articles of the same thing in England, in the U.S. And again, it started, remember, 15 years ago, you'd read about kids bringing Christmas cards.
Right.
And they'd say, oh, separation of church and state, you can't do that. They're individuals. They have a right to hand out baseball cards, satanic cards, whatever they want on their own time to their friends. It's not church and state when you have free speech.
Or we have schools actually teaching about the tenets of Islam and having their students write.
It's the same thing in Europe. They don't take you to churches. All the schools in the UK take kids twice a year to mosque.
Right.
What is this about? Why do they have such a hate for Christianity, the left?
Well, part of it, I think, is just because we know Islam is a really fast-growing religion, and there's many more people being born every single day into that religion.
So they're just siding with it.
I think so. It's either that, or maybe it's that it's the more kind of authoritative, tyrannical religion.
And there's a lot of pedophilia in it. We know that's the left's religion.
Everyone's submissive. No one's allowed to do anything against the state, which is the church. And so that's kind of where I'm thinking, where this is okay, but even Muslim people out there should fight back against this, because do you think it's going to end here with saying Jesus, or will they now say eventually that, you know, to put up Prophet Muhammad or whatever is going to be hate speech as well?
And I can't believe we're even here calmly talking about this, because that's the point I want to make when we come back. I thought about this morning when I wanted to make the whole show about this. I try to go to churches, and they don't even say Jesus, and they're up there milquetoast, and they're all part of this ecumenical movement. They're just clubs. They're just basically, you go to big churches to swing with other couples. I don't do that, but they're large mega churches are swinger clubs, okay? Or they're places to feel good.
I saw that video.
It's true. I mean, you want to pick women up, go to church, man. You can't get them off of you. And that's what it is, basically sex clubs. And so that's what Satan's turned these things into. So we're going to come back and talk about it, because where are the churches on Easter? There's war on God, war on Christ, war on the right of religion, and you're not going to hear a damn word out of these things, because the preacher's back in the back, you know, trying to have sex with your 5-year-old. Yeah, a bunch of devil worshipers. We are back live. Oh, I should have been mentioning towards the end of this hour, Mr. Crowder, Steven Crowder, who got banned for a week off of Twitter, for the great crime of sending one of his crew dressed like a robot to a transgender meeting that he paid to get into at South by Southwest. And he showed up and went beep, 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 beep. I identify as a robot. You must accept this. And that's really the yardstick, is golden dragonettes, ornate buildings. Google has people where you have to identify them as an ornate building.
Swamps and marshes.
And so whatever happened to humor? And the people inside actually thought it was funny. They got the joke, and they liked the attention. And they thought it was funny, but no, they're banned. You're banned for humor now.
Right. I mean, this is the South by Southwest has become such a joke. It's just a progressive leftist meetup now. And anything that is a dissenting opinion on that, you are not welcome to be there. You see all their guests. It's people from the deep state trying to recruit techies to come help the government, or you got Obama, former President Obama or Michelle Obama being the keynote speakers at these events.
Calling for restricting speech.
Right. Or you have the AI is going to take over everything, and if you dare question your tech overlords, then you're out. So yeah, and you can really actually see, again, this goes back to us talking about not being afraid of all of these tactics they're using, because we are going to win. It's backfiring on them. South by Southwest is like super small this year. They actually had to combine all the festivals into one. It seemed like it was crowded.
Oh, I said 2 years ago, I said, it's dead.
Yeah.
And remember when we were handing out free pamphlets just on the street, and the police said, we've been ordered to arrest you. We know it's not the law. And then they just kept ordering them to arrest us because they were stopping our street teams handing stuff out on city streets.
Right.
And I said, it's dead. It's a nerdville. It's a joke. It's over.
Right. There's no innovation there.
There's nothing more uncool than hearing an Islamicist, Sadiq Khan, come and call for the end of free speech, and the head of YouTube come and call for it. I mean, you want to be a schmuck, go to South by Southwest.
Exactly. It's like it's
schmuck fest.
When Michelle Obama was here, that was her keynote speech, was about how to get musicians and artists to create content for the government. Remember, I did that video and I was like, well, if they asked you to create a song promoting vaccines, could you? And they all just came up with a little, yeah, I'd love. So if
take the shot, have a convulsion, oh, you're gonna be brain damaged for life. And if you wanna be on a respirator, if you wanna die, it's the thing to do. Kill yourself, drink the fluoride. We love you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But you should have seen their face. It's like they never expected that President Obama would no longer be the president. They're totally fine pushing government propaganda if it was for Obama.
And by the way, he's on the ropes. So
hey, what happens if another president comes in that you don't like and wants you to do it? Oh, and then of course now, imagine if Trump was as...
Imagine if Trump came and said, I need your help with propaganda.
Right.
Because the globalists are on the ropes. They're like, ban speech. Help us. Help us with your speech. We'll put you to the top. Help us. We just want to have a world government where the big banks make hundreds of billions and you don't get anything. We're real liberals. Yeah. Bezos.
Right. And so they're trying...
We love the communist Chinese that put Buddhists in huge laboratories and steal their livers. It's real liberal, though. Yeah. Join us. We're real liberal. Screw people that want lower taxes and prosperity. Why, they're Nazis. Yeah. Ban that Alex Jones.
Yeah.
He said there's slave colonies and Martians. No, I didn't.
Yeah. No, you didn't.
And people walk by, they go, lost your family. You think this kid's on Mars. I go, $1,000. I want to go out there with $1,000 in my hand. Stop by Southwest and say, $1,000. Anybody can show me video. You know how to search engine. I'm going to do it. I'm going to just show up at a tech conference and go, $1,000 for anyone that can show me saying there's Martian slave colonies. They won't even care. They'll just go, Martian, 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 Martian. I'll go, $1,000. Anybody can show her for the Russians. Shut up, you effing Russian. Oh, you don't want the great, because they know it's a lie, Leanne.
Or they
just
gay
take
frogs, gay frogs,
you lost your
gay
kid,
frogs.
gay frogs, gay frogs, gay frogs, gay frogs.
Yeah, but then you actually say, yeah, atrazine, you give them the information they need, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't help the meme. I just want to go around and make fun of people. I don't need the facts and the information. It's just more fun to feel like I'm morally superior and that I've got all the information.
Well, that's it. They gang up. And that's the thing, is we've created this thing where betas and people can run around. But betas in history, if they're allowed to do whatever they want outside of the bounds of people standing up to them, they become the worst tyrants.
Right. I mean, they're totally okay with setting up their algorithms to target one specific political group because their ideas they don't like. They don't even want to hear them.
And if you watch the Project Veritas videos, Leanne, they just sit around going, we love controlling them.
Yeah,
if we see some old redneck lady with American flags, something about veterans, she doesn't know that no one can hear her, that she just posts for years and no one can see it, the dumb old bitch.
Right.
You know, they're like,
right. Or people who
we're going to send CNN out to her house to call her an agent.
Yeah. Or you have people who are in charge of doing the genome testing, admitting that they mess with people and it's not super accurate. So if they know a certain group, doesn't want to have any African-American blood, or, oh, well, then we just kind of joke with them and put in a little in there where it's maybe less than 1%.
That's it. It's all just fraud. It's fraud. And they've all said to each other, we're going to lie, we're going to cheat, we're going to steal. But major studies from the UK to the US show, I always flip these backwards, but it's 6 times more likely to steal, 9 times more likely to lie and not give to charity. And the numbers are all similar. So these are just wimpy, stupid, lying crap asses that don't want to have real jobs, but they've been given jobs managing us, the producers. That's what this is slavery.
Right. Well,
they've created spoiled, rotten idiots at universities with Gruber, who they go, here, Gruber, like this, I'm going to teach you how to lie and get jobs. We manage the slaves. Now I'm going to teach you how to lie. They're like, yes, sir, teach us how to lie. And that's what they do.
Yeah.
How do I be a scumbag piece of filth? Well, I'll teach you. I'm Gruber. Now, thank God the public doesn't pay attention. We prey on them.
Exactly. And that's why we do need to start seeing some top-down accountability, which everyone is waiting to see. What happens the Friday night is the cutoff to find out if McCabe is going to be allowed to resign or be fired tonight, right?
He needs to be fired!
There needs to be some top-down accountability, finally, that people can see this is not okay. But that's what it is. It's like, well, everyone else is doing it. Everyone else is lying and taking advantage of people. So why don't I do it a little bit too? There's no consequence.
And Leanne, we never got into the churches. I've got a stack. I've got video clips from the U.S., from England, from Australia, banning the word Jesus, banning saying Jesus lives at our church. Come feel his spirit. Banning the billboards, banning. We'll get to some of those clips to get to our guest who's getting beat up by Antifa, and the media celebrates a woman beaten up by Antifa, but she fought back. So we're going to be talking to Lucy Brown, who works with Tommy Robinson on the other side with Leanne McAdoo, just briefly, because I'm so excited about it. It's our latest Super Blue hit products, our colloidal silver and iodine fortified fluoride-free toothpaste is now back in stock. And we have Super Silver Immune Infusion. And you can gargle it or just spray it in the back of your throat. And we're rolling it out with the 1-ounce bottle with $3 of product. Costs us $3 to produce each of these. And to give you an idea, I could put 30 cents in this of some cruddy silver and it still help you. This has iodine. This has colloidal silver. This has peppermint and a bunch of other key things in there. It's got the patented system, very, very strong silver, and with all the claims you can make with it. That's Silver Sol Nano Silver. And so much more, deionized water, peppermint, essential oil, iodine from the EDDI, all of it. You want to get this, ladies and gentlemen. You talk about for topical on your hands, you talk about for good breath, but mainly for what these guys do to viruses and bacteria. This is next level, and it's available. It's great with our normal colloidal silver bullet. It's great with the toothpaste. It's all there. We're coming out with bigger bottles that'll be here soon that scale up, obviously, but it's all very affordable. $9.95. Get it today. Super Silver Iodine Infusion Immune Gargle. Amazing new product from Super Blue family at InfoWarsLive.com or 888-253-3139. And now, MycoZX, the other equation of probiotic, knocking out the yeast, the mold, the candida, it's now stronger. It's plus now. So we have MycoZX Plus, stronger and lower price. As everybody knows, I got pretty upset over the weekend and on Monday with the footage of Tommy Robinson in the UK and, of course, his great camera lady, Lucy Brown. Now, Antifa, at least 9 of them, attack her, attack him. She's got screenshots she sent us where they were planning it. And there they are attacking a woman. Now, I know it's popular. Your hair right now is kind of pink purple-y, and I like it. But I was saying, well, she really looks like she's in good shape for a gray-haired woman. But she's a young, beautiful lady. Now that we actually have her, here on Skype, I had just not seen her before in front of the camera being beaten up. So I couldn't tell because I just saw a lady with gray hair with people grabbing her hair and attacking her. But so I have to make the correction that she's a young lady, not an old lady. Not that it matters. But she ended up kicking one of their butts and getting them off of her, and they ran away. Tommy knocked down about at least 4 or 5 of them. This all happened in a McDonald's because they were meeting at a mosque planning open warfare because they had an informant inside around the corner. So this is how crazy this is. This lady has a lot of courage. We're talking about the war on free speech. War on the free speech in the streets. War on free speech in talk radio. Lawsuits against free speech. Fox News sued for investigating Seth Rich's clearly suspicious murder. So Leanne McAdoo's here with us. And, of course, Lucy Brown. So, Lucy, amazing job. What's it What's it like going through this? Where do you see these attacks going? How do you get the courage? I know in the next segment you've got some new exclusive video clips and things we're going to play that you'll walk us through. But I got to tell you, you and Tommy Robinson, the rest of your crew, you're my heroes.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, well, we've known it's this bad for some time now, and me and my friends often say that the day that Richard Spencer got punched was the day when the bar was set very, very low, because we saw how many people celebrated it afterwards, how many people fetishized it. We saw the memes coming out saying, punch a Nazi, it's okay to punch a Nazi. And of course, you know, who's a Nazi? Well, we decide that. So we've realized that it's going to be violent for some time. Antifa in London have been basically going for me and my team now for near enough over a year since we started this. So we know what we're up against. We've often had memes floating around in London saying, punch these people on sight without debating them, you know, no debates. They've doxed Kaylin and George, our other two cameramen. George was with me on the day and also was grappling with one of them and just about managed to get that footage of me on the floor, because if he hadn't have got that footage, then no one would have known that happened. So it's very lucky. But yeah, it's been this way for quite some time. So we just get on with it, because it's, you know, the important thing is showing people how bad it is.
And Twitter lets them organize violence. They let them organize attacks on you.
They're calling for violence, clearly.
For radio listeners, Lucy Ann, Leanne, whoever wants to do it, describe for radio listeners, that's the majority of our audience, the flyers they're putting out saying attack you.
Well, I mean, there were some that actually had pictures of me, Kaylin, George, and Tommy saying, if you see these people, don't speak to them, etc., etc. But of course, there are a kind of more extreme version of Antifa who, I don't know, I think they kind of come from the older school type Antifa. Maybe they did actually used to fight neo-Nazis back in the past, but now they're kind of sad old alcoholics that will just punch anyone they want. And they tend to be the ringleaders of these groups. So they're the ones that are kind of trying to go a little bit extra and trying to post our addresses. Lots of them, they were posting where I work. They were telling people, this is what she looks like. If you see her around, show her what anti-fascism is. And on the day, of course, they posted something onto their own Facebook page saying, this is Lucy Brown. She's alt-right, which isn't true.
And Facebook then lets them do whatever they want. Well, since they misrepresent who you are, why don't you tell Lucy Brown your background, what got you into this? I mean, tell folks who you are.
Well, it's funny, I'm like Tommy said, I'm a lot different to Tommy, same with Kaylin. I mean, we're all kind of middle class kind of media kids that pretty much some of us don't even come from a big city. I mean, I come from Cambridge, privately educated, went into kind of fashion photography and post-production, nothing to do with this at all. But I think during the Trump election, definitely watching InfoWars and things like that kind of made me realize how corrupt the media was. And I felt quite disgusted. I felt quite angry at how much we were being lied to. And then, of course, when I saw Tommy, I was programmed to think that he was this horrible racist Nazi and not to listen to him. But then, of course, I saw his Oxford speech. And the rest is history. As soon as I realized how much they'd lied to me about him, I soon realized how much they'd lied to me about everybody else. And then everything just unraveled. And of course, I met George and Kaylin because they went out to a women's march. I don't know if you've seen this last year, around January, they went out and they were trolling some of the feminists and trying to see if they could answer basic questions. And as soon as I saw that video, I got in touch with them immediately. And we've been friends ever since, and we've just been working together ever since. But we've been following what's been happening in America for some time, so we know how bad it is over there. And in the UK, we tend to copy you guys. So obviously the Antifa over here is.
So you were just, I mean, I'd say that's what Tommy was telling me off air. You're kind of more a libertarian, middle of the road. You're just a well-educated person, and you saw oppression, you saw tyranny, you saw media lies, and you felt drawn into this, and now you have 9 full-grown men trying to beat you to death because you're a reporter, and the media is celebrating men attacking a woman.
Yeah, New York Times says it's great.
What to wear? MSNBC says, go out and physically attack people.
Right. New York Times, what to wear to smash the state.
The Huffington Post says in that article you've got, if white people move into your neighborhood, hit them in the head with a club.
Right. It's totally fine. Get violent.
I mean, that's what the KKK does. Blacks move in your neighborhood, you attack them.
Now, if you are conservative and you're talking about how Democrats are going to lose the Second World War too, you can't put that out because now you're calling for violence against the left. But if you are actually calling out for violence to go and punch these people on sight, In the case of...
And, of course, that was done to point out the Democrats lost the first Civil War and they'd lose the second, to point out they were the slave people. They don't want that fact out.
Yeah, we don't need real...
You know, the average leftist I talk to actually believes that the South was Republican, and they don't even know.
They believe in the big switch. I mean, that's what they're taught in school.
They're so stupid. So, getting back to Lucy Brown, for people that didn't see the viral video with tens of millions of views and all the rest of it, what else did people not see that was behind the scenes when the camera was knocked out of your hands?
Well, let me think. We're trying to get hold of the CCTV footage, but I think we've kind of got enough here and there. I mean, the most shocking thing, actually, the most upsetting thing was how many people are saying it's fake or it's staged. People seem to think that Tommy has hired these people to come and attack us, which if he had, I think I might have to have a little word with him. But it's funny, quite a lot of people probably think, like to call themselves feminists and like to say that they stand up for women's rights. And yet here's a video of a woman on the floor and, oh, it's fake, it's staged, or even better, I've seen some people say that I deserved it, which is very nice.
Oh, let's stop right there. They want to ban Trump from coming. Michael Savage is banned. They almost banned me, and they had government intelligence come interview me last time I was in the UK. That's on record, to even let me in, and that was just a family vacation. So this is all real. They tried to claim that Laura Southern and Brittany Pettibone weren't real and blocked. So it's not that people are just, they're denying what they did to you in a military tactic. You understand? These people online saying, oh, this didn't happen. They know full well. They call themselves anti-state. They're really communist. Everything they do is deception. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
No, of course. I mean, someone on 4chan quite rightly pointed out that, you know, you say it's fake, but at the same time, you're closing all of your accounts when 4chan started to investigate and try and figure out who these people are. So pick one. Is it fake, or do you not want people to find out who did it? Because thanks to 4chan, I think we may have actually identified some of the people. So thanks to the people on there. But yeah, what you saw is pretty much what happened. We were in the car park getting ready. Tommy was strapping his GoPro to his chest. I was fiddling about in the back of my car. George was just setting up his camera.
Stay right there. We're going to come back. We're going to come back. The woman attacked by 9 vicious, foaming at the mouth thugs. Lucy Brown works with Tommy Robinson, and she is a camera lady who does a great job. And there were the 9 thugs attacking her, going for her first. Wow. We were just, you know, during the break talking to her about how they organized online and pre-planned their brutal attack on her. And they had the flyers they put out so they knew they were targeting if they ever saw them. They believe somebody in the restaurant called them and they were nearby and came to attack. This is just premeditated evil. I've got a lot of questions, but I know you've got a lot of points. Lucy Brown, Leanne, where is this going? What do we do? Is this Antifa stuff peaking? Or is it getting worse? And what needs to happen to these people?
I don't know. I mean, I would say that your Antifa are a bit worse than our Antifa. Our Antifa, as you see, are quite embarrassing, to be honest. So I'd like to think that Antifa over here aren't going to spread. And I'd like to think that people thinking of joining Antifa will see that footage and decide that actually maybe this isn't a movement for me. But I think in general, they are kind of a distraction. They're not people that we should really be worried about too much. But of course, there they are at every event. They're shutting speeches down left, right, and center. They're attacking people going in. They're trying to attack the speakers. So yes, they are annoying. But I'd like to think that enough people now are going to see that and get up and actually fight back, which is kind of what's happening in London at Speaker's Corner.
But Lucy, you've got courage. You're honorable. You're educated. You're a smart lady. It's the manifestation of 9, 10 thugs willing to beat up a woman, even though, of course, they're wimpy scum. Of course, they're like Gollum or something. The point is that this is an ideology this sick.
Right.
This is like Hitler's only one step away. I mean, this is to go beat up a woman in a McDonald's parking lot is just next level, and have the media defend it or make jokes about it or call it a fight. When they're trying to rob you of your equipment. I guess they did rob you of equipment. I mean, you got mugged. A woman got mugged by at least 9 men, and the media and the left are celebrating it. That's your headline.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I'm in this world. I know what to expect. We all do. We all know what happens. I've seen Tommy get in trouble before. It's just what happens. But I mean, there is a part of me that does feel sad when I realize that actually no single media outlet has got in touch with me. I've had maybe one friend get in touch with me. This is sort of something that's just going to get brushed under the rug. And yet at the same time in the UK, you had things like a woman walked into a McDonald's and a black security guard said, please, can you take your hijab off? maybe because there's some rule about headgear or something. And it became a news, a global or whatever, massive story in our country, and people were protesting outside McDonald's, and she was getting all these retweets, special treatment and everything. And yet there I am on the floor, and yeah, apparently it's that's just what I should expect, and it is sad. So I don't really know what to say. I am sad about it, but at the same time, it is what it is. I don't know. What do you do?
No, I understand you're not being a drama queen about this. I'm saying we all need to, as libertarians, as conservatives, as free thinkers, as common sense egalitarians, whatever you want to call us, we tend to not run around like chickens with our heads cut off. But when you've got armed guys not letting us go to a demonstration, and the police do nothing in Austin, and the left attacking everybody's speech, and gangs of little meth heads stomping around, beating up women, and the media makes a joke out of it, it's a big deal. Because I guarantee you, if you had took one of these reporters that made a joke out of this and 9 guys beat one of them up, it'd be the end of the world.
Oh, of course. I mean, look what happened to Kathy Newman when she spoke to Jordan Peterson on Channel 4 over here, and then a few people wrote some horrible things about her on the internet afterwards. Everyone was, oh, you poor thing, oh, you poor dear, up against those internet trolls. It's a complete double standard. We know it's a double standard, but on the flip side, thinking, silver lining wise, some of my friends who are quite normal, who have normal parents, who think that everything's fine and the media don't lie, they saw that clip and it actually did make them realize how bad it is. So in a way, you have to be able to show the extremes for people to wake up and realize, actually, yes, this is what's happening on the streets. This is what's happening. It's not being reported, and it is being celebrated. So.
And even The Guardian has to admit that it's the road to dystopia. I mean, this is classic authoritarian nightmare dystopia we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, it is. But, there are lots of people that are now, they came out to Speaker's Corner last week to stand up for Brittany and Martin. And this Sunday, there's going to be a massive event. Tommy's going to be reading Martin's speech out. And I've been having a lot of messages from people that for the first time ever are going to come out and support what we're doing, which is basically just standing up for free speech and saying, we don't care if you say you're going to attack us. It's our right to come and say what we want, especially in this historic area. So that's kind of, we're hoping that this Sunday we're going to kind of set a precedent, really, and show that we're not going to back down, especially not in Britain.
Well, the right wing can create authoritarianism, and it happens, but usually it's the left. And if you look at all the big collapsing countries, the authoritarianism, it usually comes out of the left. And I try to transcend that whole paradigm, but the so-called leftists in universities and everywhere, they want it now. And so they need to know historically they're going to lose. They're on the wrong side of history.
Well, then they're convincing everyone, well, they're stopping fascism. That they're playing an important role in society, not realizing, yeah, sure, if you shut everyone else down that's on the side that you don't agree with, guess what? You're next. They're coming for you next. They don't like any form of government control.
They want
left or right.
The globalists admit they want to put out a statement and then have robot bots rewrite it with different headlines and flavor. They're going to get rid of reporters. They're getting rid of this whole landscape of colorful, diverse ideas.
Right.
That's what's happening here.
Do you want free speech or do you want inclusion? Even though free speech and the First Amendment literally means it's all included, we're all allowed to speak.
And then the knowledge of the crowd's been proven that the best ideas, like the best restaurant or the best clothes or the best music, goes to the top.
Right.
I mean, you don't need to know that, Jimi Hendrix is a lot better, than, say, Nickelback. I mean, you don't need to force feed Jimi Hendrix on people, or you don't need to force feed Beethoven, or at least you don't on me, or or George Strait. I mean, right. George Strait is better than, let me think of some just horrible pop country band. Luke Bryan, I don't even know who that is.
I don't know any.
All I'm saying is everybody knows George Strait's a lot better than a lot of that stuff. All right, in closing, we appreciate Lucy Brown, your courage. Any other nuggets, tidbits? How do people follow you individually if they still let you be on Twitter or Facebook?
Yeah, you can follow me on Lucy Frown, and obviously wherever Tommy is, wherever George and Kaylin are, I'm running around with them. But just keep your eyes peeled on Sunday. Sunday is the day where Britain is going to make a stand. So keep your eyes peeled. I think we're going to have a hashtag Speaker's Corner going, and we're basically going to reclaim Speaker's Corner. It'll be the battle for Speaker's Corner. So keep your eyes out, because Britain is about to fight back, and it's going to get nasty.
This Sunday morning, England prevails. Again, what time? Because I was talking about coming in and doing a live feed for a couple hours and picking up your feeds. So I think we're going to do that, guys. So I think be ready. What time should people be there if they're going to, if they're in the UK. I think people from Ireland should come across. The Scots ought to come down. I mean, this is the fight, going back to the Magna Carta even, for free speech.
We're aiming for 3 p.m., but of course, I reckon it's going to be a day of live streaming. I reckon you're going to be able to see feeds from all over the place. There's a lot of YouTubers coming down. So yeah, just keep an eye on it, probably from around midday onwards. But we're aiming to have Tommy read that speech at 3 p.m. by hook or by crook.
All right, and that's, what time is 3 p.m. here? I guess that's about 9 in the morning. So we'll cover it live. I'm going to come in.
No, 9 at night.
This Sunday. No, if it's 3 over there, it'll be 9 in the morning here. So this is going to be the battle for Speaker's Corner. We're going to be here covering it live. I mean, am I right? You mean 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, correct?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. here. Okay.
Thank you.
So we're going to be covering that. The battle for Speaker's Corner at Infowars.com. We'll have all the different YouTube feeds up, listed, all the Facebook feeds. We'll have our own feeds, and we'll hopefully be able to have you guys on with us live as well. So we salute you, Lucy Brown. Anything else?
No, thanks, Alex. It's a real pleasure talking to you.
We shall fight with growing strength and confidence in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. And we shall never surrender. All right, there you go. Now, Leanne, I tell you, that we got Steven Crowder coming up, hopefully. He's a busy beaver. We've got this banned video of his, of a guy going, beep, 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 beep. I'm a robot, beep, 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 beep. So you're going to see the hate, the evil, the most despicable, vile, XXX hatred you've ever seen. A man with a silver box on his head going beep, 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 beep. So that is banned. Look, there he is, Steven Crowder.
Thought criminal.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. Well, we all put a good face on it, but I was just talking to Steven Crowder, very popular syndicated radio and TV host. Needs no introduction. All the young people I know are huge fans, and the adults are fans as well, which scares the globalist. When it comes to young people, he's got more viewers than Fox and CNN combined. So do we, so they want to censor us. But now Fox is being sued for questioning the murder of Seth Rich. So see, that's where all this is going. Well, they went a few days ago to South by Southwest to a trans event, and they had their Sven the computer, that's the character on the show, he identifies as a computer, don't be hateful, you'll be arrested in California, going beep, 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 beep. And then he's been banned off Twitter for 5 days because of that, and the media is supporting it. They're saying it's a good thing, it's hateful to, buy your ticket and go to an event and say, I'm a robot. The people there thought it was funny. Here it is.
Spend more time with computers, and so I've always identified.
I grew up in a fatherless home, just to give you my backstory, beep, beep. And I spend a lot of time with computers.
Beep, beep.
And I just have a strong connection with them, beep, beep.
More so than people.
And more so even than people, and that's kind of why I'm a computer now. I identify as a computer. I don't know if that's okay. Beep, beep.
And if you all think about it, really the human brain is just an advanced CPU process.
I mean, if you think about it, like the human brain is just like another computer, right? Beep, beep, just processing things. So, yeah.
So, Sven, when it gets to your turn, give your story like we talked about, make your joke, say you can call me anything you want, just not Windows 2000, and then end it with, I'm also a raging
Well, my name is Sven Computer. My pronouns, I don't really care. You can call me anything. Just don't call me Windows 2000. That will be very offensive. And that's about it. And I'm a raging.
And I've noticed what they mainly ban is stuff that's funny. They want to own comedy and own being ironic. Steven Crowder, what in the hell is going on with the left?
I'm sorry, I still laugh when I see my intern Sven Computer up there doing it. It was funny to me. They banned us, and so we sent in Sven Computer. So he was totally allowed to be there, had a badge. I do want to correct one thing. The people there afterward did not think it was funny because they realized how silly it looked. So I just want to be clear.
I mean, from the video I saw, they were laughing, but I guess later they didn't like it.
Right, exactly. They didn't like it, so I don't want to misrepresent them. But yeah, here's the deal. No one knows the violations with YouTube or Twitter. We were banned on Twitter immediately upon posting this video. And here's the crazy thing. It was a 12-hour ban, okay, Alex? And then there was a scheduled tweet. You know this. You probably have some scheduled tweets because you have different social media accounts that you run for the show. You schedule a tweet maybe a couple hours in advance. There was a scheduled tweet of this same video. Now, here's the thing. Once they banned me for 12 hours, I couldn't access my account to remove the scheduled tweet. So it went up. I got a double infraction. I've been banned for a week and no answer at all from Twitter. And of course, YouTube said this was a privacy violation, by the way, Texas single-party consent state. But the violation didn't have a time code. As you know, there's supposed to be a legal process There's a policy process with YouTube. If there's a violation, it says at which point in the video. We were just sent the whole video. They just don't want this up anywhere. It is so silly. It's fun. It makes them out to look silly, the whole LGBT. It wasn't, by the way, Alex, I have to correct you so that you don't get sued. It wasn't a trans event. It was a gender nonconformity event. There were genders there that you've never even heard of.
But see, that's the thing. I can't even hardly keep track of my taxes and my kids' events. How am I made the joke 6 months ago that they're going to have LGBTQ X394 QL93 DLC 94, and now they're saying, is it getting too long? And like, it's like I'm in a cult. I've got to know all this. And
Jones, I got the 42 pages right here, the complete list of all genders.
We'll go over a few of those.
I'm trying to go through it to see if I can find this computer.
Like they have a new one where you want to have sex with cars.
Right, or that it's frost gender, freeze gender. That's when you just feel snowy and cold in Arctic, which is, you know, or they.
I mean, let's just say this is total mental illness.
You feel like a marsh or a swamp.
Please tell me no one's getting
Let me ask Crowder this, and then you
near dry ice.
What is going on, Crowder? What is the end game of this?
Well, here's the. It's tough to be able to say what the end game is. Obviously, we feel that we've been targeted because of our point of view, because there are policies. They don't clarify what the policies are. They don't tell you what they are. They don't give you a way to remedy it. We want to play ball. We don't want to break the law. We obey the law. Here's the thing, Alex. We have a show at SMU on March 22nd. Okay, there's a professor at UT Arlington who has been trying to get this show canceled. The March 22nd show at SMU. He doesn't even go to SMU. He was posting these false memes, which were started from some kind of an alt-right neo-Nazi website that basically they thought I was Jewish for a long time. So they would send me these anti-Semitic tweets or death threats. They found out I wasn't Jewish. And so then they started doing these false libelous memes with swastikas tattooed on me and horrible racist, you know, kinds of fake quotes.
Sure, so there are groups false flagging, and it's not just left false flagging. You've got extreme right-wing racist groups that attack you and I and everybody because they want to control the movement. Exactly.
Well, here's the crazy thing about it, and then this is why it all ties back in. So these, by the way, these went up on Twitter. So you could find a picture of me with a swastika tattooed on my neck saying, you know, kill all horrible things I can't repeat.
And you don't want to say it because they'll edit it and say you said it.
Right, exactly. I reported them to Twitter. I said, this is not true. This is a libelous meme. It was allowed up. So here's the thing. We can obey the law. Right, with YouTube, go to a single-party consent state, pay for access, we have the right to record, and it can be a violation of policy, but then you have places like Twitter where actual libel, actual slander is a crime, is allowed on their platform. They don't follow the law,
Twitter and
they allow
Facebook
breaking the law.
have multi-million person accounts that are up for 6 months, a year, saying kill Trump.
Yes. Oh, there are plenty that say kill me, of course, too. I mean, listen, I deal with it every day. I've reported them. I'm like, hey, this guy says he wants to kill me. It's not a violation. Here's something else, Alex. You want to hear a crazy story? And the reason that ties back is that professor at UT Arlington was using those false memes to try and get me banned from SMU for something I didn't. If you want to say this video is offensive, fine. You want to say my jokes are edgy?
See, that's what they do to me. They say that I say there's Martian bases. They say I say firefighters blew up the World Trade Center. No, I said there was a stand down. It's come out in the news. That's how they get us all. They misrepresent what I say. They misrepresent what you say. Then they attack when you go on my show or I go on yours. They go, oh, you're on with that Nazi Crowder, or oh, you're on with that Nazi Alex. And then we all go, I better not be with that person. And this is how they're trying to kill everybody coming together.
Yeah, you know, let me make this as clear as humanly possible. The reason I was targeted by neo-Nazis is because I believe Israel has a right to exist. I support the Second Amendment. I support the First Amendment. I support freedom of speech. I support the right to protest. People are going to protest our show at SMU on March 22nd. I support their right to. I want to be as clear as humanly possible. What I have a problem with are misleading business practices where we don't know the rules. Because, Alex, you know, how many people, Alex, do you employ there at your program approximately?
It's over 100 with the shipping department and legal and everything.
Good Lord. Oh, good for you. You're doing well. Yeah, hats off to you. You know, ours is about 15. Here's the thing. I don't agree with everything you say. You don't agree with everything I say. But those people are dependent on you being able to follow rules that are clearly established, right?
And well, exactly. It's totally Kafkaesque. It's all selectively enforced. There are no rules. The rules are they can do whatever they want.
Well, here's something they can't do. Twitter actually helped me create an ad campaign, and we're going to be announcing live with my lawyer here in the coming week some action that we'll be taking. By the way, people out there, I know you do this. You need to take proper legal action at this point. The time for just complaining on social media, that's not enough. We need to hit them where it hurts legally and sting them, the wallet. That's where it hurts. Here's something that Twitter did. They said, hey, you should advertise on Twitter. I said, I don't know if that's no. You should invest your money in advertising on Twitter because you get to keep the followers you gain, and it's a great way. I said, okay. They helped create an advertising campaign to gain followers, right? They multiple times got on the phone with me and said, hey, let's correct it this way. Hey, maybe change the copy. They did this for years, took the money, and then said the copy and the ads they told me to create, the ones they helped devise, were a violation of Twitter's policy.
That's it. So it's fraud. It's unfair. It's fraud. It's unfair trade practices that did that to us too. Facebook, they take your money, you build up this big thing, you send all the traffic to it, and then they just blow it all away and use what they told you to do, just like they told the Russians with that ad package for the election. Cover guns, cover Black Lives Matter. Russians only spent a few $100,000. They wanted to spend millions. All these different media outlets, RT, were trying to spend money. And then they use what they told Twitter, RT, to do as the proof of Russian bots, Stephen.
You see, I've never been told anything by Facebook. I don't know about the Russia situation. I know that here's what I know about Russia. I know that nearly every time I read about Russia in the news, the next day I read that the story wasn't true. So I've tuned it out. I don't care about Russia anymore. That's where I am with Russia. I don't know about anyone else. I'd say tweet me and let me know at S. Crowder, but they can't.
Well, let me ask you this question. They're really scared of you because the young people love you. That's what it's all about. I'm not kidding. All the public schools I go to, because my children are in school, but then they play on other teams, even though they're in a private school. And I go to high schools and middle schools, and it's like Elvis arrived, and then they're like, we love Steven Crowder, we love Gavin McInnes, we love Paul Watson. And then I talk to these young people when my daughter has 4 or 5 of her friends over that go to public school, and they go, who is CNN? Who is Anderson Cooper? Who's Oprah Winfrey? But they know who Steven Crowder is, and they're wanting pictures with me, and their dad's coming to pick them up wanting pictures with me. That's why the media's scared, because they only got the old people.
Right.
Why is that, Steven?
Well, first off, I really appreciate it. I'm glad, and might I suggest better public schooling, because I don't want kids watching my stuff. I'm kidding, of course, but it's not for everybody. Here's the situation there, and you're right. There's a generational gap. I actually had someone who was really popular on Vine. Remember Vine say, yes. Hey, man, I really want to get into YouTube. We always said there will never be the ratings that Carson used to have because there were 3 networks. Now we're back to it. YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. And they're scared of it. Now we're back to a few major networks on the dial, and people like me are at the top of that dial, and they've got some controlling to do.
That's right. They're absolutely crapping their britches. And Steven Crowder is on with us. Heavily censored. You've got Twitter, you've got YouTube banning the video. We just showed you some of it. Ridiculous. Leanne, you found his gender from this gender fluidity conference. I didn't get the name right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the gender fluidity, which is, that's why they just let this guy in and they hear Sven Computer out, because there's so many different genders. They don't even know perhaps there really is this computer gender. I knew I would find it if I just looked through this list, the complete list of all genders. And Sven Computer is video gender. Video gender is a gender that feels too robotic, technological to be classified by human standards. Note, this gender is for the use of any robotic, mechanical kin types only.
So that's kind of like Asperger's. And so this is like a new religion, basically. So look, you should sue. They
were bigoted against you.
They were bigoted against your robot cohort.
Your video gender.
You know what's funny is that I'm the last guy who wants to get into any of this. I'm a late night host and comedian. I mean, I'm not even, I'm not even a radio guy. I'm a comedian. I started out as a comedian. We do a late night show. Really, I grew up my whole life watching early Letterman. That was me. My dad used to record it on the VHS, so I'd get to watch the top 10 list and he'd fast forward the too naughty parts, And I remember then as I grew up and I realized that every single one of these people was far, far left. And I was going, man, it would be great to be able to watch late night and not get sucker punched. That's all. I don't even want it to be political. I'd say 80% of our content isn't political. I'm just open about my views. It's a late night entertainment show. I don't want to sue anybody. I don't want to have to deal with the Twitter police and the YouTube violations. This was a guy going in as a, I didn't even know that was a gender. This is very enlightening, but it's hysterical to me. Probably someone out there could file a class action lawsuit for discriminating against, what was it? What was it called? Video gender?
Video gender. Video gender.
But video is specific because, I don't think 4K, not beta gender.
Hey, what's the one where you have sex with appliances in cars? Guys, we have that in there. What's that thing called? There's like, and there's all these other churches. This is just another church of what the genders are. So how are we going to have all these competing groups, Steven Crowder, battling for who has the official? Will we have gender wars with all the left over who, how many genders there really are? Mecrophilia or mechanophilia.
Mechanophilia.
Macrophilia is what's called?
Mechanophilia. Mechanophilia.
But do you see, I mean, how many genders will there be? It's already into hundreds and hundreds. And will the competing groups have wars, Stephen, over what is the proper Bible?
I have no idea. We used to joke about it. We would say LGBTQ, AAIP, and the number 2. And then my prime minister from Canada, I was raised in Canada, born in Detroit, by the way, before people say that I need to be booted. I was born in Detroit, but raised in Canada. So my prime minister of my other homeland, Canada, Justin Trudeau, actually publicly apologized to the LGBTQ and two-spirited community. There needs to be a number 2 in there. This isn't a joke anymore. And it's so utterly, I don't even know what two-spirited is. I still don't know what it is. And the prime minister of one of the biggest countries in the free world apologized to the two-spirited community. To me, I just want to be able to laugh at it. Think about this, right? Your late night show. If you go back, I don't know, 10, 20 years, you go back to Carson, they were joking about Nixon, they were joking about what was going on in the culture. You have to joke about what's happening. This is what's happening now. LGBTQ two-spirited.
And you couldn't even have Richard Pryor. You couldn't even have Eddie Murphy today. You couldn't do anything. And that's what it is. It's clogging culture. It's shutting down speech. It's dividing everybody. All right, Steven Crowder, louderwithcrowder.com, all the great work you're doing on CRTV, everywhere else. I know you're going to mount some major legal announcements on the 22nd up at SMU in Dallas.
Yes, at SMU, a live show. My half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, will be there, and we have some announcements to make. The show's almost full, but you can still get in if you are a Mug Club member.
All right, Steven Crowder. Leanne, any final comments?
No, but thank you for thoroughly entertaining us continually.
They just violated the rights of the video genders. Is that what it's called?
Video gender.
It's like Videodrome, Cronenberg movie. Thank you so much, Mr. Crowder.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Infowars.com, Newswars.com. Let's introduce Joel Gilbert. He's got the reported son of Bill Clinton, the illegitimate son, who's been in studio with us before, with him in studio. So get ready for that as well. So they had a gender fluidity conference. We're going to finish up here and hand the baton to Joel Gilbert, who's got Danny Williams, the reported illegitimate son of Bill Clinton. He looks like him. They've done the test. I believe it. He's got big breaking news on that front. Joel Gilbert, documentary filmmaker, will be taking over here in just a few minutes. But you were going over this group that they bought a ticket to. They went. He said, well, I'm a robot. So they had him barred on Twitter and YouTube. We just had Steven Crowder on, and we're laughing about this. But you read this. This is, I'm a bog gender. I feel boggy. I mean, this is like and you've got people all seriously sitting around going, yes. And then we sit here and joke. Tavistock Institute created all this to create mental illness and the breakdown of civilization. But the fact that you can't even question it and say there are two genders, I mean, this is real authoritarianism. Where do you see this going, Leanne?
Well, I mean, this is just, it's like you said, this is mental illness here. First of all, so we're talking about this gender, the bog gender.
Let's document Cam that. People need to see this.
And this is the complete list of all genders. So we have bog gender, a gender that feels like a bog, swamp, marsh, or similar ecosystem, also known as swamp gender.
I feel like a titanous, berserking, fiery goblin.
Well, so that's the guys were saying the other day. Was that like Swamp Thing? Is Swamp Thing a bog gender? Or
Swamp Thing's pretty powerful.
Do they come from that planet where?
I don't know, but I just feel really good. I feel strong.
Well, that's definitely in here. There's the thing where it's all masculine. It's your gender.
But that's kind of a gender. You can't say masculine.
You're right. You're right. No, I mean, this stuff is just.
They use our hospitality against us, where we then play along with this My Little Pony BS.
Yeah, but it's like, who is actually sitting here documenting the people that are coming in saying, I'm a glass gender. I'm a gender that is very sensitive and fragile. I'm glass.
What's a gender witch?
I'm glass gender. A gender in which one is intrigued or entranced by the idea of a particular gender, but not certain that it's actually experiencing it.
So this sounds like mind control.
So it's kind of gender vague. Maybe that's kind of gender vague or gender strange, but, it could also be a glitch gender.
And again, they have thousands of groups just like typing out like they've got chimpanzees tied up to typewriters, just coming up with this insane dribble that we have to bow down and worship.
Right. And it all sounds the same. Like a Gossa gender is a gentle and fragile gender, a gender that is barely there. But isn't that sort of the same as a glass gender?
Well, let's expand on that.
How do you best this? I mean,
this is what Saul Alinsky said. We're going to break up families. We're going to attack the genders. I mean, this is just an attack on reality. We're going to go to Joel Gilbert.
How do you not misgender people?
Exactly. We're going to go to Joel Gilbert, get his take on this. He's going to get into other big, serious subjects. But this is serious because they're doing this to our kids. They've had, real mainline feminists come out and say this is child abuse. What's going on to the children. Just briefly before I hand the baton to Joel Gilbert and ask him just briefly what he thinks of all this mind control before he gets into his other subject with Danny Williams and this big exclusive interview. We have Super Blue Silver, the new product, Immune Silver Burst. And you can also gargle it as well. We have the new 1 ounce that's come out, concentrated with the iodine, with the special silver that's super, super strong. You can do it also on your skin. You can do it, for disinfectant. It's amazing. Immune Gargle Super Blue Immune product, 33% off out of the gates. Iodine, silver, sol, nano silver, smallest available super colloidal silver, the ionized water, ultra purified water, stevia, peppermint, essential oil, and a great little high-quality spray bottle. And we're going to come out with bigger bottles soon, but this is the lowest cost, smallest one, easy to be portable. When you get the bigger bottles that are coming out, you just pour some in it, take it with you, because the other disinfectants have the alcohol and lower fertility, crack your skin. This stuff is much, much more effective, and it's really amazing, and it supports the broadcast. We also have our antifungal for the gut back in MycoZX now. MycoZX Plus with more in each bottle and a lower price. That's 50% off out of the gates, but that's selling out very, very quickly. Like our Ultimate Turmeric formula sold out for the last month. It's back in next week. So 25% off Brain Force, $50 coupon off of the amazing Alexa Pure Breeze, air filtration, Secret 12. It's all there, and you help us continue on. All right, Joel, you're an expert on the leftists and their mind control operations. So I know you're going to come back, get into your main broadcast you've been getting ready for all week. So thanks for letting us take over a little bit here, but we ran over. What is up with the whole gender fluid movement, our kids? What, from your research, what is behind this whole thing?
Oh, look, what's behind it is the left wants to attack and destroy the middle class. They know that the middle class creates and supports the free market system. Saul Alinsky, Marxists, they all said we have to attack and destroy the middle class, all their institutions, marriage, gender, church, anything that the middle class likes, they want to attack and destroy. Because without the middle class, the free market system will collapse. And that's why socialist economies don't have a middle class. They have one big impoverished class and political elites who control the wealth. So this gender thing is just another assault on reality and middle class existence that supports reality.
Right, and I agree with this here. What we're seeing in California and other places, they're making it illegal to misgender people. So, but then they've got this insane list of all these genders. It makes it so confusing. And
it's designed where they get to be victims and take over, and then always dictate what the new. It's a religion.
We're only allowed to then eventually. We're like, okay, fine. I can't deal with it. Let's just agree that we're all just people. Or, just persons.
Well, that's what they said in Brave New World, which was based on a real UN plan, but written in 32 before the UN was around. His brother later ran the UNESCO program. He said it was genderless. That's what they created.
We're all just, I can't even say humans because that has man in it, but that's it. There's no men, women, mother, father. They're already doing away with that.
And then we just capitulate to this like cult members. I mean, well, why not drink cyanide Kool-Aid?
Because the students want this inclusion.
It's so inclusive. And then it always gets bigger. I remember it was like 5 years ago. They came out with 50 genders at Facebook. Now it's hundreds.
70, 80 now at this point. Yeah, it's definitely way up there at this point. And I mean, this is 42 pages long.
And again, there's all these competing churches. So you've got to know all their groups. And then I'm sorry, you go look at these events. These look like escapees from mental institutions. And they're just the fodder for this. But the big social controllers, Joel, how do you think it's going for them right now as they sue us and go after free speech and sue Fox News for investigating Seth Rich? I mean, they're going into a new level. What do we do?
I mean, I think they're absolutely dedicated to what I call the police state. They want a state that controls speech, that gets rid of the deplorables who are supporting this whole free market constitutional system. They're now mobilizing the tech giants where they couldn't succeed to convince people to vote for this nonsense. They want to enforce it. And that's why all socialist Marxist countries always had a police state, because they had to force people to cooperate and behave and force them what to think.
You know, I'm glad you said this, because I was eating lunch last Friday and listening to you. I remember it was the Friday before. And you were sitting there, and we posted the video to InfoWars over the weekend. People said, Jones used to be against the police state, but now he licks the boots of the police. He's got this Joel Gilbert on saying it's not deep state, it's the police state that Obama and they put in. And he's totally right. People talking about a police state is saying I'm against Venezuela and its corrupt government using the police for control and having laws that are a police state. The left's trying to take over the police to have a police state. That's when I was warned by law enforcement in the 90s about Clinton training them for gun confiscation. It wasn't I was against the police. I was getting it from the police, from the military, because they were warning of a police state. A police state isn't the police in charge. It's a police state without a Constitution, Bill of Rights, with an authoritarian regime over you, and that's what Joel Gilbert's saying. But they play these semantical games going, oh.
Issue we're going to be talking about this week is...
That's right. Marxists, they use the tools of state, the IRS, the DOJ, the local police departments, like in Parkland, they imposed this crazy system from the Eric Holder Justice Department that you shouldn't send high school kids to jail, even if they commit crimes. So all this stuff comes from the top, where they use the IRS or the FBI to impose their will upon free people. That's a police state. I experienced it myself. The FEC, Federal Election Commission, went after me. I got followed by Capitol Police when I went to D.C. I got pulled off an airplane one time when I flew in for CPAC. They asked me about my films. So it's an intimidation factor that they used in Russia and all.
And that's why we got to fight to keep this land of the free, home of the brave, and stop it now, because they're trying to promote this lawlessness where they don't let ICE go in. All this is part of an attempt to have a communist dictatorship in this country. Joel Gilbert's taking over. Thank you, Leanne. Great job.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm Joel Gilbert. I'm hosting the rest of this hour on InfoWars. Don't forget to get in the InfoWars store my latest movie, Trump, The Art of the Insult, at Infowars.com store. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, Bill Clinton's black son, Danny Williams, who we heard a lot from last year. He's going to update us on everything that's happened since the Blockbuster documentary banished the untold story of Danny Williams. And we'll be taking calls with Danny later as well. Now, I want to keep going on what I talked about with Alex about the police state, how the left feels, and how do we get a police state. Hillary Clinton was in India this week, where she exposed even more of her hatred for America, telling an audience about those damn Americans who don't support her. Let's take a look at the Hillary India comments.
Where Trump won. I won the places that represent 2/3 of America's gross domestic product. I won the places that are optimistic, diverse, dynamic, moving forward, and his whole campaign, Make America Great Again, was looking backwards. You know, you didn't like black people getting rights, you don't like women, you know, getting jobs, you don't want to, you know, see that Indian American succeeding more than you are. Whatever your problem is, I'm going to solve it.
Okay, so this is what Hillary thinks. It couldn't be that America didn't elect her because we don't agree with her policies. It couldn't be that we don't trust her. It's because we are evil. America is evil. Now, most people have heard that Hillary called Trump supporters deplorables, but I showed it was much, much worse in that speech in The Art of the Insult. I'm going to play you a clip from the film. Let's watch the deplorables video.
Half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. They're offensive, hateful, mean-spirited.
I am a wife, a mother, I work full-time, and I am voting for Donald Trump and Mrs. Clinton. You can go home.
Unfortunately, there are people like that, and he has lifted them up.
After all the horrible scandals that Hillary Clinton's been involved in, and then she has the gall to call us deplorable.
They are irredeemable, but thankfully they are not America.
USA.
We have a divided nation because people like her, and believe me, she has tremendous hate in her heart.
Okay, so this is how we get the police state, because the left sees themselves as morally superior, and they have to enforce the rules upon us. I want to show one more video. Let's remind ourselves of what Obama wanted to do with the evil enemies of socialism.
Issues that are important to us. We're going to punish our enemies, and we're going to reward our friends.
That's how you get the police state. It's not a deep state. That's the ideology of the police state. Now, those of us who knew Obama's radical background in the little-known world of American Marxism, we knew that his ideology was the ends justifies the means. And that's why he politicized the Justice Department. He investigated. Fox News, Associated Press were spied on. Department of Justice was turned into a leftist advocacy organization. Even Attorney General Eric Holder revealed that all along he was not the chief advocate for law. He was Barack Obama's wingman. The FBI became so corrupt that it could not even today arrest a 19-year-old nut job or any mass shooter. They all go free. Of course, the IRS was weaponized by Obama's police state in 2012 to prevent free and fair elections. Remember the Tea Party movement in 2010. People figured out Obama very quickly. They knew he was not going to balance the budget like he said. They knew he was not going to follow the Constitution. They knew that he lied when he said he'd be the most transparent president in history. And as I showed in my film, Dreams from My Real Father, Obama's father was not a Kenyan goat herder. His father was a Russian agent. So the total fraud was met with a response from America. The response was the Tea Party movement that swept Democrats out of power and was poised to remove Obama in 2012. But Obama's police state unleashes the IRS to decimate the conservative movement. And it disappeared in 2012. Obama interfered with the election. Conservative groups were blocked from organizing while the left was allowed to organize. That's a police state. After that election, the Federal Election Commission came after me. People think just because we have the First Amendment that we're protected. It is the First Amendment after all. But my film, of course, I showed that Obama's real father was a Soviet agent, and he was radicalized by his father into an anti-white, anti-American, pro-Russian worldview. So in my case, the IRS opens up 3 years of my tax returns and denies all business expenses. Very absurd, just to harass me and send a message. That's a police state. I didn't get the message. So next, they had a leftist reporter working for a George Soros-based organization out of San Francisco named Seth Rosenfeld from the Center for Investigative Reporting. Somehow he got my entire business bank account and contacted all my film investors and told them he was writing an article and tried to intimidate them because there's no way he should have had their information, all their exact banking information. That's a police state. As I told Alex, after that, I went to Washington, D.C. for CPAC, and the pilot sends the stewardess back to talk to me and says, the pilot wants you to stay in your seat. We land in Washington, and 4 policemen come and take me off the plane, and they start asking about different films that I've made. That's a police state. Another time I was in Washington filming There's No Place Like Utopia, and I leave the hotel with my cameraman, and there's a Capitol Police following us. They follow us, pull me over, and ask to see ID. They let me go. That's a police state. I still didn't get the message, though, apparently, because the Federal Election Commission came after me to say I didn't have a right to produce a film, even though I'm a documentary filmmaker, just like Michael Moore of CNN. I was investigated, possible referral to the Justice Department, had to spend $15,000 on legal fees, and the ruling came down 3-3. 3-3 tied between Republicans and Democrats. That means free speech was almost eliminated by the FEC, but for 1 vote. That was my experience. And of course, we're all learning today how Obama's police state interfered in the 2016 elections by exonerating Hillary Clinton and then using the tools of state, FBI and DOJ, to put together a phony dossier to discredit Trump, spy on the campaign, and try to overthrow him. That's a police state. To this day, the police state is supported by the Democrats and all of the media. So I hope everyone appreciates how close America came with a Hillary victory, a few thousand votes in a few states, to becoming a permanent police state, because Hillary and the left hate Americans. They hate the people in between the coasts. I believe we're still in grave danger, and we have to be vigilant. In the next segment, Bill Clinton's son, Danny Williams, we can't wait to get an update from him, and we'll be taking your calls at 877-789-2539, 877-789. Alex, we'll be right back. Welcome back to InfoWars, the Alex Jones Show. I'm Joel Gilbert, hosting right from the left coast. Don't forget to go to the InfoWars store, get my latest film, Trump, The Art of the Insult. We're going to be taking calls later in this segment for Danny Williams, 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-2539. I produced a film with Danny called Banished, the untold story of Danny Williams. It was seen 50 million times on Facebook and YouTube, and it is a touching story. Now, many celebrities have children out of affairs, and most of them end up accepting their children. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, we know accepted his son with a maid named Joseph Baena. And in the case of the Clintons, it's particularly hypocritical because they claim to champion black people and forgotten people during the campaign. And of course, Hillary met with Black Lives Matter activists, and her own stepson, she refuses to recognize. Let's take a quick look at an excerpt from the video of Banished.
America must reject the bigotry of Hillary Clinton, who sees communities of color only as votes, not as human beings worthy of a better future.
I have no doubt that I am Bill Clinton's son. Everyone in Arkansas knew. Everywhere I went, they pointed, that's Bill Clinton's son right there. He looked like him, don't he? In 1995, when my father was president of the United States, the state of Arkansas put us in foster care. We was house to house, hungry at nights.
I met with a small group of the Black Lives Matter activists.
If she sings Black Lives Matter, why I don't matter to her?
Okay, without further ado, let's bring Danny Williams back on the show from Little Rock, Arkansas. Hi, Danny.
How you doing, Joe?
Hey, great to see you. All right. Well, what we'd like to do is talk a little bit. You know, we were at the National Press Club last year, and we had such a big outpouring. America really felt for your story and kind of fell in love with you. You know, before we get an update, you know, what was it like to kind of be this instant national celebrity where people would recognize you on the street?
What was it like?
Yeah, what was it like?
It was a great experience. I mean, it was a great experience. I mean, everywhere I go, people know me now, so it was a great experience. I got a lot of supporters off of it all around the world, so it was a great experience.
And how do people usually react to you on the street? If you just, I know in Washington, people just run into you and they would want to talk to you and hug you. I mean, did that make you feel at least better from what was going on?
Yes, sir. I mean, when people see me, it could be anywhere. At the mall, I could be out eating, I could be with my kids. It'd be, you know, first thing they say is, you know, is you Danny, Bill Clinton's son? I say, yes, you know, and they be wanting to hug, take pictures. It's just a great experience. I mean, everybody recognized me. It don't matter where I'm at. I could be pumping gas.
Okay, well, look, the reason we did the video, we wanted to see if we could finally make a connection. Has Bill or Hillary or Chelsea Clinton reached out to you all this time?
No, since my video, the Banished video of the untold story of Danny Williams, no, they haven't reached out to me since the conference, the press conference we held in Vegas and Washington, D.C. And even when I try to reach out to them privately, they haven't reached out at all.
Okay, now I know that you also had some experiences with the Black Lives Matter people who we thought would care about your story, but they started putting out tweets, I guess, kind of making fun of the situation. How did that make you feel about their motivations?
Yes, sir. Okay, during all that time, when Sean King was the one, I responded to Sean King and sent messages to him, you know, trying to see where he reach out to my story and try to get help. But he never responded to me at all. And then to see that he tweeted a joke about my story, it made me feel some type of way. So, you know, I felt, you know, very angry at the time, but I you know, I just know that, you know, I mean,
Okay, I think we lost Danny there for a second. We'll get him back up on. Another thing that happened with Danny's video is it was up for 3 days. People might not remember this. It was on YouTube for 3 days. It had about 3 million views within 3 days, and YouTube canceled the account. We can put those news stories up there. YouTube shut down Danny after 3 days, and we went through a similar thing that Alex went through earlier this last few weeks, where we had to protest and write articles, and YouTube gave in and they put it back up. So that was what we went through, was something that Alex and a lot of other conservatives are going through right now. The other big thing that happened is Danny is trying to find a lawyer to take his case to court. And I talked to several attorneys, and at first they're interested, and then all of a sudden they get real scared. It's like the Clintons still control the state of Arkansas. They still strike fear in people. I mean, I was shocked that it's still that way. Danny, are you back with us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you remember when they took down your YouTube account?
Yes, sir.
How did that make you feel, given the fact that what you were going through?
It made me feel like, it made me feel, I had all type of feelings running through my mind at the time, because, like I say, I was trying to reach out to them to see what they would at least respond to me, and, you know, to get the negative response, and Black Lives Matter not responding back, and, you know, the lawyers down here in Arkansas not wanting to step up, and, you know, it's like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? It's real angry. You know, like lately I've been, you know, working on, I got my kids also, and they got their sports and their school things. So lately I've been working with my kids and trying to make odds and ends meet to support my kids, myself. But, you know, I'm not gonna never give up on this, so.
All right, look, Danny, I know you're still trying to take care of some legal fees. Let's put your PayPal email up there. If anybody would like to help Danny at all, you can always help support his legal fees. It's at Danny04Williams@gmail.com, Danny04Williams@gmail.com, and I know he'd appreciate anything you can do so he can still cover some legal bills. He's still trying to get into court to do a paternity test. Danny, what else have you been doing or traveling since a year ago when we last spoke on the air?
Well, I haven't been traveling lately. I've been, like I said, I got 5 kids on my own. So my kids, they're in school, they in sports. I got a daughter in band, and it's just more of me trying to provide for them. I've been trying to make odds and ends meet to provide for my kids and have the time to spend with them and be more interactive in their lives. But I'm not gonna never give up on my story. My story is the truth for me. So I'm not gonna never give up on my story. But it's a time for everything. So I just stepped back and been provide for me and my kids. So.
Okay, well, we're going to take a few calls for Danny in the next segment. I want to give out the phone number again. It's going to be 877-789-2539, 877-789. Alex, if you have any questions for Danny or me, we'll do them in the next segment after the break. Danny, one more question before we hit the break is, how have your feelings evolved about Bill Clinton? I know you had some early time in your life when he was giving some child support. Then he hasn't been in touch. We've made such a big effort to get their attention. How is it evolving for you?
Well, I'm not too disappointed about them. I respected this on my journey in the search of getting this DNA test. I kind of figured he would never respond to me. So I'm not too disappointed. I expected this on my journey. So, it's not a standstill on my journey right now. It's just, it's hard to raise the kids and trying to support from.
Okay, Danny, we're going to go to a break, and we're going to take questions in about 3 minutes. We'll be right back. Joel Gilbert back with you right from the left coast here in California, hosting InfoWars. My guest right now is Danny Williams, the star of Banished, the untold story of Danny Williams. It was seen 50 million times on Facebook and YouTube right before the election. I think Danny had a big impact in letting people know about his story. Danny, are you there? Welcome back to InfoWars.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, Danny, how did you were on InfoWars in studio with Alex in Austin about a year or so ago. How did you feel to be on live on InfoWars that first time?
I was a little nervous a little bit because I never been on TV, so I was shook up a little bit, but it was a great experience, and I really was just happy of him helping me get so many people to hear my story. Because at the end of the day, it's a true story, and people, some people they just don't believe in it. So, you know what I'm saying? And as far as me trying to get my DNA test, I appreciated Alex helping me get my story out there. So,
okay, let's go to a caller. We've got Scott in Connecticut. Scott, you're on InfoWars with Danny Williams.
Hey, how you doing, Joel? Hey, Danny. It's good to hear from you, and I have nothing but admiration for you. I literally was Democratic, and I voted. I mean, I don't know why this has anything to do with it, but I got me so angry when I saw you on the TV, making your case, if you can hear me. So I'm just saying.
We got you. Keep going. We can hear you.
I just think that he was amazing. He had courage up against that type of power. How he stood there. No wonder I could say, you know what? He must be a Clinton. He's got a lot of stamina and a lot of confidence. It's in your blood, man. You got confidence. And, there's one thing I got to say. You really have, I'll just keep it rated G, I really admire you standing up for your children, for yourself. And if I was in your shoes, I don't think I could be as strong as you. I think it's great what you're doing. Keep it going until you get your birthright recognized properly. And I just wondered how you can do it with that Black Lives Matter. She ignores you like that. I just
okay, Scott. Okay, Scott. Thanks for the call, Danny. Here's a guy that saw you and really appreciates all the effort you made. How hard was it for you to stand up all that time?
Right, and I want to thank Scott for that. It was real difficult, and I just had to keep pushing. At the end of the day, I can't give up. So, I mean,
one of the biggest things is you said you promised your kids they'd get to meet their grandfather one day, that their grandfather was president of the United States. I mean, that's pretty exciting. Are you still determined to make that happen?
Oh, yes. My kids, they want to know who my father is. They want to know who their grandfather is. So, yes. Maybe one day they'll get to meet him. So.
I mean, I think it's pretty, imagine how devastating it is if you're a little kid and you can't even get to meet your grandfather and you see him on TV, all the time. Right. Let's go to Scott in Oklahoma. Scott, you're on InfoWars with Danny Williams. I'm sorry, that's Sam in Oklahoma. Sam, please.
Hi, Joel. Hi, Danny. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Danny, I just want to encourage you to keep up the fight and to continue to get your message out there. In the Bible, there's a history of righteous kings being descended from wicked and evil kings, and Joash is one of them that you can look up. That's going to be in 2 Kings 11, the story of Joash. I really appreciate that you have not come against your father. You've not maligned your father. You've just stated, I believe that Bill Clinton's my father. I believe you have a real strong position. And my first point is I just want to encourage you to keep up the fight. It's very, very important. All right.
Okay. Thank you for the call. Danny, you have any comment?
I just wanted to thank him, and it takes a lot of courage to do this, and
And and you're right. I have, all I asked was for him to stand up and take a DNA test, and it just, I thank you though. I thank you a lot.
Okay, let's go to the next caller. We've got Dennis in Ontario. You're on the air on InfoWars with Danny Williams.
Hey, Joel. How's it going?
Thanks for calling.
Hi, I wanted to talk to Danny. I keep, I don't know too much about Danny's story. I keep hearing about, whenever Bill Clinton gets criticized for anything, people just dismiss the Danny Williams story. Your story is nothing more than a tool for trying to harass Bill Clinton or downtrodden him or whatever. The thing is because people look at that paternity test that was taken, and as far as I know, it's definitely not 100% accurate. Like you said before, I've heard you say during the election cycle that we should probably, only look towards a DNA test for any sort of certain proof. So I just find it very sad that people would just dismiss this as like a tool of confrontational harassment to someone like Bill Clinton.
Okay, Dennis, thanks for the call. Danny, this is not something new that came about during the last election. You've been knowing this, and your family has been reaching out to the Clintons since you were little. Is that correct?
The 90s. I was born in 85. He made president in 93. We've been reaching out since the 90s.
And can you tell the story from the video of what your aunt did when you were about 5 years old, when she took you to the Arkansas governor mansion?
Yeah, she took me to the governor mansion and was trying to get Bill to accept me, basically. And they ran us off. They told her to get off the lawn. They ran us off.
Well, at the time, I remember your mother was in prison. I think from the video, you got to watch the video, Banish. Your mother was in prison. Your aunt was working at a gas station, and you needed some child support. And I think they did end up sending you money every month. Can you remind people about that?
Yes, sir. My mom was locked up, and my aunt was raising us basically, and she did receive money once a month to help fund us, to raise us, and but once he became president in '93, I mean, it was nothing else. So
they cut it off. Okay. I got you, Danny. Let's go to one more caller here for today. It's going to be Stuart in Florida. Stuart, you're with us on InfoWars.
Well, I first wanted to congratulate everything that InfoWars does and the InfoWarriors. We've been supporters for many years. We use the products and everything. In watching, and I listen and watch Alex Jones and all the other members just about each and every day. And more and more we heard about what's happening with Alex Jones and others on YouTube and Google, how they are erasing history. And watching what happened with the call to disarm America and take away our Second Amendment, with all these different marches and everything else, I did a little search on YouTube. And I searched going back to World War II and prior to World War II, the Nazi youth. And to my surprise, but not to my surprise, there is absolutely nothing that comes up in the search on YouTube. They've completely erased everything from the search engine. So then I
see. Okay, look, Stuart, real quick, do you have a question for Danny, because we got to move on?
Okay, well, I wanted to say to Danny, keep up the fight and everything. The left does not recognize the truth. They do not recognize history. They have their agenda that they push. They brutalize anyone that speaks up any kind of truth. But if you in your research go back and take a look at things that happened prior to World War II, you will see.
Okay, Stuart, thank you. Thank you for the call, Stuart. Danny, I know you're still trying to cover legal fees and expenses. Let's put up one more time. You can help Danny with some legal fees. It's on PayPal. You can see his email. It's Danny o4williams@gmail.com. Danny, what's next for you in 2018?
2018, I'm planning on writing a book about my life. Hopefully I can have it out by the summer of 2019. I'm planning on it. But right now, I'm more focused on my kids. Like I said, my kids are in school and in sports.
Danny, we got to go. Danny, thanks for being here. We'll see you on InfoWars next time.
Hello, this is Hank Hill, and I'm telling you what, you need to listen to Alex Jones.
Yeah. Infowars.com.
If you don't watch it, you're going to end up like Jason Adderley's boy. Deal me out this hand, Jason. I'm about to bust. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was the bathroom. Oh, good Lord.
Scanning. Control. Manipulate scientific data. Take over. Blast. Control. World government. Shut down infrastructure. Ship everything to China. Just look at this person.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Make no mistake, we've made some major gains against the globalists, but they're striking back all over the world. Now more than ever is the time to get prepared with the highest quality emergency supplies across the board. Medical supplies, emergency supplies, communications, tactical, it's all there, and we're adding more and more every day of the very best products out there. So go to fortifiedsupply.com today to not just see the great products we offer there, but links to some of the other great sponsors that we have as well. That's fortifiedsupply.com.